Okay, hello everyone. Since we still have a few people logging in, so we're going to give them a minute or two to get settled and then we'll get underway. So some technical issues to cover. Please put 10 into a chat box if you can hear and see the presentation well. We love to see teachers learning and exchanging ideas. So please share your conference viewing photos by emailing them to tc.cyto@gmail.com, and we'll feature them on our Facebook page, Instagram, and during our next educational events. Okay, I think we are ready to go. Welcome to the third day of our international online conference organized by Ukrainian Teacher Training Center, Ukrainian Certified Technologies of Education. The third day of our conference is on aspects of teaching English language, methods, techniques, tips and tricks, etc. This day is supported by our Azerbaijani partner Teacher Professional Development Center, ASR Teaching and Learning. My name is Eva Tatarova and I'm your moderator for today. I'll be with you today along with my colleagues behind the scenes. I'll be serving as a moderator to help answer your questions, respond to your comments during all 6 sessions. Today's conference is being recorded. We will be able to share a link with you after all the event is completed. We welcome you to revisit the content yourselves and share it with colleagues. So I'd like to greet our presenters now. As I've mentioned, today we have 6 presenters. They will be talking on English language teaching methods and techniques which can be used in our classrooms. I'd like to extend a warm welcome to our viewers. It's great to be with you all since we have more than 500 teachers registered for this conference. Our geography is definitely huge. Ukraine, Azerbaijan, Iran, Uzbekistan, India, Georgia, Russia. Also, we have teachers from the UK, Estonia, Belarus, Bulgaria, Romania, Poland, Turkey, the Czech Republic, etc. So we are so happy to have you here with us today. I'd like to start with the photos from our international TESOL course in Baku, Azerbaijan, which was recently hosted by our partner Teacher Professional Development Center, SR Teaching and Learning. Our graduates got TESOL certificates and now they can apply for any English language teacher position all around the world because TESOL gives teachers an opportunity to teach English across the globe according to the internationally recognized standards. Guys, we're really proud of you. Thank you for being a part of our international TESOL team. Congratulations to all of you. Can you imagine just 12 teachers from 7 countries had their intensive TESOL course studying, teaching, cooperating during 2 intensive weeks? Amazing job. So if you dream to enhancing your professional level, we provide teachers with international certification, namely TESOL course. If you want to become a TESOL certified teacher, if you want to be recognized all around the world, please send your application for the next TESOL course to the email address you see on the screen, srteachinglearning@gmail.com. Also, you can find SR Teaching and Learning on social media or simply use a hashtag #BestTESOL in Baku. So here's a brief information on what to expect in today's sessions. Each session is approximately 30 minutes long. We really hope to hear from you, so please share your ideas, comments, questions in the chat box. Our presenters will hopefully address them as much as they can. Also, when all the sessions come to the end in about 3 hours, you'll have the opportunity to receive a certificate of attendance for your participation. Also, together with this certificate of attendance, you will get a special gift from our partner, SR Teaching and Learning, discount certificate on TESOL course in Baku. So please grab your chance to be on time to use this special offer. We're going to send you a link or share a link that will have 1 question on it. So just complete that short quiz. And if you answer that question, you will be eligible to receive your certificates within a week. The email address you will receive it from is tc.cyto@gmail.com. So please make sure you're checking your spam and junk folders just in case. Also, we are happy to announce that in 10 days, we opened the early birds registration for our 2nd International TESOL TEFL Conference, teaching English globally. We hope we will see you there, so stay tuned, please. So let's get started. Now it's my pleasure to introduce our presenters. The first one is Mark Murphy. Mark is a TESOL certified teacher from the UK. Just to establish a productive learning environment for your lessons with good participation from your learners, you have to break the ice. So what that ice is about and how to break it will be discussed by Mark Murphy during his session, Icebreakers, Start Your Lesson with a Bang. The next presenter is Ukrainian TESOL teacher Svitlana Mazur. She will be talking about such micro skill as writing. People say that writing is the most demanding skill that will help our students to get a job in the future. I agree, since due to the evolution of information technology, writers are really in demand and create a digital media content. Just new websites need writers, social media need writers, and many other IT-related or non-IT companies need writers. Help them with writing brand quotes, advertisements, social media posts, and so on. So this session is really of great importance. Our next presenter is known for his special interest for using drama in LT. I would say this is a unique opportunity for you to get to know Paul Harvey. Paul has been a teacher of English for more than 30 years. He is a teacher trainer in public and private education. He is a CELTA tutor and orientation courses tutor for the Cambridge Delta course. Also, Paul is a TESOL trainer for trainers and an assessor. He has been cooperating with SR Teaching and Learning for about 10 years. His first book was published by Oxford University Press in 2015, and hopefully he will let us know about it during his session. Also, we're really happy to announce him as a keynote speaker in our upcoming conference, Teaching English Globally in Ukraine. Next, it's my honor and pleasure to introduce the next presenter. This lady's contribution to the improvement of the quality of our ELT life was captured by different Ukrainian and Polish mass media. Julia Yakovliuk, interpreter, translator, TV presenter, accelerated educational programs developer. She's going to talk on the topic of lab books and interactive workbooks. So I'm sure that as a result, you will create your own lab book and sign it with Bill Marriott's words. This is a book to cherish and share. Our next presenter is Akbar Ghafouri. I first heard Akbar in Georgian seminar in Tbilisi, and I will never forget how much I learned. His words continue to influence me today. Akbar is an international TESOL trainer, owner of a huge chain of international language schools, good friend of SR Teaching and Learning and Ukrainian Training Center SUTA as well, mentor of the Ministry of Education, and today he is going to present his talk on error correction. Just it sounds like this: error correction, how and how often. Just to be honest, for me it sounds as a medical prescription, so I'm looking forward to hearing his presentation. What is more, today is Akbar's birthday. Happy birthday, Akbar. I know you're watching us. Just, Akbar, never give up on your passion for teaching and never stop inspiring your colleagues. In you, our team found a great person who has taught us not only facts about books, but about life itself. Akbar, you deserve all the happiness your heart desires. And on behalf of our international team, we wish you the very best today and all other days. And the final presenter, Vusala Gafarova, TESOL certified English language teacher from Baku, Azerbaijan. Once I read that life is a puzzle, a riddle, a test, a mystery, a game, whatever challenge you wish to compare to, just remember you are not the only participant. No one person holds all the answers, the pieces, or the cards. The trick to success in this life is to accumulate teammates and not opponents. And I think that games could be a good way to build up team synergy, which we always try to achieve. So I'm sure that it should be another breathtaking session. And the final short talk will be given by the founder, Director of Studies of SR Teaching and Learning, Samad Samadov, as well as the founder of Ukrainian Teacher Training Center, Suta Tetiana Uhina. They will finalize the conference. So we are really happy to have you all here today. Let's get started. At this time, I'm going to give the floor over to Mark Murphy, who is going to start today's presentation. Icebreakers, start your lesson with a bang. It's all yours, Mark.
Well, thank you very much, Eva. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the conference. My name is Mark Murphy, and I'm from London in the UK. So I've been working in Malaysia, in Singapore. I've recently been traveling across Eastern Europe, where I've met lots of teachers and where I met Eva. The reason I wanted to get involved with teaching English as a foreign language is because I want other people to speak, my native language, so it helps people communicate more. And it's a good way to get to meet new cultures, interesting people. So I definitely thoroughly recommend the course. I've been teaching now for about a year, but yeah, I thoroughly enjoy it. It's better than what I was doing before, and it's a really good thing to do. So I thoroughly recommend it to anybody. So today I'm going to talk about icebreakers. Start your lesson with a bang. Okay. So what is the meaning of breaking the ice? Well, originally it was, for the navigation of ships, but it wasn't until the latter part of the 17th century where the term or the phrase break the ice was in its current meaning. So it means to establish a relaxed relationship in a socially awkward situation. So it's very important that when we are amongst a group of strangers, new people, that we do something to make each other feel at ease, and it just makes life a lot easier from the beginning. Okay, so why do we do these activities in the classroom? Well, as I mentioned, it's a group of strangers coming together for the first time. So you need to feel at ease, and it helps the lesson progress very quickly, and also people, maybe nervous in meeting other people for the first time. So it's a really good, we create these activities to put people at ease and make them feel welcome. Excuse me. So there's certain activities we can do for breaking the ice. One that I found works really well is you get a group of people, in a circle. You introduce yourself, you introduce where you live, where you work, and then you say something quite interesting or unique about, that's associated with yourself. For example, I could say, my name's Mark, I'm from London, I work in China, and then I got a goldfish that is 25 years old. And then you'd say to the next person to the right or to the left, please introduce yourself, and then tell me about, me as well, what I've just mentioned. So that then you can go around, you can, if it's a large group, you can keep it to say 5 people. So for example, the next person would say, I'm Steve, I'm from Liverpool, and I've played football for Liverpool FC, and I work now in Azerbaijan. And then he would say, this is Mark, he's from London, he works in China, and he has a goldfish that's 25 years of age. And it's quite fun because you go round, but the last person normally has the most difficult task because they have to remember everything about the person next to them and the person next to them. But you can keep it to, maybe 4 or 5 people, and then start again if the group is too large, because it becomes too difficult. So yeah, that's one activity that I found is fun, and it enhances your listening skills and your understanding, and it builds rapport very quickly. Okay. So it depends on the size of the group that that you're working in. It can, you can keep it to a minimum, as I say, to 5 people if there's more than one, if there's a large group. Another activity we get involved with is, you can draw like 3 pictures of something that is related to you, and then you get the group to stand up, the whole class, and then just mingle with other people. So, for example, I could be talking to, say, Eva, and on my piece of paper, I would have a picture of a football, a picture of some food with bonjour next to the picture, and you've got to get the person that you're talking to. They will ask you questions about you. What do you like? So, for example, they may say to me, "Oh, Mark, you like French food?" And I say yes. And also, you like football. Then you do the same to the other person with what they have on their piece of paper, and you just move around the group until you meet everyone. And it's a very relaxed way of sort of finding out about others and letting them know about yourself as well. So I find that one works really well. You can give everyone a badge, a name badge if it's a very large group, because not everyone's going to remember names. And if there's people from, say, other countries, it just makes things a lot easier as well if you wear a name badge, and at least you can address them personally, and that also helps break the ice very quickly and start conversation. Your activities also should be relevant to the age group and the level of person is, the level of English that the person is been speaking as well. So, you should always consider what kind of activities you're going to plan before, so you know which level of people and also the age group. Activities should be fun as well, and they should aim to keep people, moving around and sitting next to and meeting new people as well. So you should always keep the group sitting next to people that they haven't spoken to before, because that way, it just helps people get to know others more quickly as well. A good way as well is to keep people working in small groups or pairs to engage to encourage teamwork, and all activities, should I say, should all be done in English, because this is the target language that they're going to learn. You can also introduce props or objects into to activities as well, like cards or toys for young learners. Another game is, for a young learner is called Where Do You Stand? So what you can do is sort of create 2 lines with some masking tape, and you could say to a young learner, who likes cats, stand in this line, who likes dogs, stand in this line. This encourages, young learners to sort of stand with people who share the same, sort of things that they like, and they can talk to each other about, what they like, etc. It's a very quick way of building rapport as well. You can also play a story game where you can get someone to say like 4 words, like for example, once upon a time, and then it's the next person to say, another 4 words, there was a tiger, and it continues and continues to create a story, which, it's very creative as well, because people have to think sort of very quickly, and it's a very creative game to play as well, which also builds a lot of rapport and breaks the ice. For youth learners, you can play a game called Secret Identity, whereby you have to write a famous person on a post-it note, and then you put it on their back, and then they would have to ask yes or no questions just to find out who the person is. So, for example, is this person a male? No. Is this person a female? Yes. Is this person a sports person? No. So that's another good way of, driving communication and, getting to learn the English language as well. And it's also a game where you can think quite a lot as well. So another activity I find is quite good is you can select 2 groups, and from one person from each group can leave the room, and then you can show them a picture or a photo of a very famous building, for example, the Taj Mahal or the Empire State Building. And then when the 2 people that leave the room come back, you have to give them instructions, but by just saying draw a straight line or draw a circle in the middle until they piece together the picture of what they've got to draw. Then they have to guess what they're drawing as well. Again, teamwork is involved in this activity, and also building good rapport, and it's a fun activity as well. So always keep your activities fun and diverse, and again, adjust them according to the age group or the level. So in summary, icebreaking is significant because communication and participant comfort levels are important, and it ensures that everyone is very comfortable, and and everyone feels equal. So this is why icebreakers are a really good thing to introduce to your lessons, and I hope you enjoy. I just like to say thank you very much, and wish you all the best on your TEFL journey. It's a very good thing to do. You meet lots of people, as I say, and you get to travel the world and meet different cultures. So thank you, everybody, for listening, and I hope you have a great day, and I may see you somewhere in the world one day. Thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. I think I am online now. So thanks, Mark, for your great presentation. Icebreakers is very cool because it's the beginning of the lesson, and now I'm going to speak a little bit also about this. So I'm going to show my presentation, and I'm going to tell you some words about myself. Just a minute. Well, just a minute, because I have some technical problems, but I think everything will be okay now. Fine. Well, while I'm trying to...
Світлано, там внизу кнопочку Share Screen, а потім натискаєш на екранчик, який в тебе з'явився, і щоб зробилась активна кнопка надіслати, і натискаєш її.
Воно в мене не виходить поділитися, написати.
А в тебе кнопка поділитися не активна? Так,
да, не активна.
Трохи вище над кнопкою, в тебе має бути такий маленький твій екран. Треба натиснути на нього, щоб синя рамка з'явилася.
Так.
Прямо над кнопкою.
Окей. Now, please
Отправить.
tell me if you can see my presentation. Ярослав, видно мою презентацію? Just let me
Так,
know.
презентацію має видно бути, можеш продовжувати.
Okay, thank you very much. So we're not going to waste our time. So today we are going to tell about writing, changing the world into words, and a couple of words about myself. I am Svitlana Mazur. I am from Ukraine. Now I am TESOL certified English teacher, and I've done this course in Baku this year, and I am really thankful to the provider of this course, SR Teaching and Learning. And I'm very happy that now I have all this knowledge and I can share some of my experience here. Now I am instructor at Ukrainian Teacher Training Center Suto, and now you can just find any information about myself in the website, and now we are going to work more properly. I've been teaching for 14 years, since the second year of my study at university. I have my own website, but it's mostly for Ukrainian teachers. Sorry, because it's in my native language, Ukrainian, but I think some information will be in English soon. I provide webinars and courses for teachers online and mainly for Ukrainian teachers. And now I'm crazy about traveling, and maybe if you know me, you know that I like traveling very much, and now it's 20 countries, and I believe I won't stop. So our session is about procedures for writing, exercises for writing, and sources for writing. As you know, we can't tell a lot of about writing, about such macro skills in 30 minutes, yes, but some of information I would like to share with you. So first of all, procedures for writing. As our previous speaker told us about icebreakers, yes, when you lead in, when you set the context for the lesson and arouse interest. So when first students come to your lesson, even you don't know what mood are they in, yes, and you don't know about the problems they have. So you just have to engage them and to take them into your English world. Yes, I think it's clear, and Mark has told us everything about it, about icebreakers. Then we have to provide students with writing model. If we talk about writing, we talk about formal and informal letters. Yes, usually. So just have all these models, or you can create themselves, or you can take in any student's book, in any resources, and all the time you just have to present this model. It's very important for students. I just follow your comments in the chat, but I'd like to talk about my talk, yes, and if you have any questions, you can ask me on any social media, yes, on internet, and even you can write questions here. If I have time, I will answer them. Okay. Next, we highlight the way the letters should be started and ended. So if we talk about informal letter, so how it can be started, hello, hi, my dear, and so on, and ended. It's very important because it's not our native language, English, yes, and for our children, it's really difficult to understand how to begin and how to start and end the letter. Besides, they don't write letters now, they write emails, yes, messages mostly, so it's important to highlight these moments. Next, awareness about the structure of the letter. And there are a couple of interesting and effective exercises how to do these. We're going to talk about it a little bit later. Then provide students with writing practice of the letter. Of course, it's obligatory because you can control, semi-control, or just control the activity of writing. How can they use all their previous knowledge to write something? For example, to write a friendly letter. Feedback on content, what they wrote, yes, in general, and feedback on accuracy. So correct students' mistake and encourage students. I like, in this stage of the lesson, I like a good tip exercise. It is called kiss. It means that you talk about the mistakes First, you write sentence, correct sentence, then you write wrong sentence, and then you write also correct sentence. And just ask your students to find mistakes. Believe me, I've used these exercise after my TESOL course, and of course, this exercise really works. Do not be in a hurry, take your time, and do not worry, it's okay. I don't worry a lot, but in general, I want to tell you everything I prepared for you. And I always talk very, very quickly. But thank you for your comment. Next, just remember that each task must have objective and feedback. So why you do this? Yes, what is for and how? Because, for example, if we take the main aim of our lesson, for example, by the end of the lesson, students will learn how to write a friendly letter. So your aim, your goal is students to be able to write a friendly letter. Yes. So all exercises, all activities in the middle during all your lesson must lead to this goal, and they must be step by step. Exercise 1, exercise 2, exercise 3, activity 1, activity 2, activity 3, and all these activities must lead to your main aim. So students need to write a friendly letter. So a couple of activities to push them to the last activity. I think it's clear. If it's clear, please put plus in our chat. And in this case, I know that you are here. They are listening to me. Thank you very much. I am waiting for your pluses. Next, I like this exercise or this activity very much. So this is eliciting information about friendly letter. So we take, for example, if we talk about writing, let's take as an example a friendly letter. Yes. And if we want to tell students that today we're going to write a friendly letter, they even won't listen to you. So just show them the picture of, we might say friends, yes, just show them a picture of a boy, a girl, boys or girls, as in this picture, and just ask them, who are they, what are they doing, do they know each other, or something like that. And believe me, your students will tell you a lot of information, that they are friends, maybe they are from different countries, but they met somewhere or something like that. It's a good way to elicit information about what we are going to do, that we are going to write friendly letter today. Yes, because maybe they are friends, they have met somewhere, and now they want to connect to each other, and even they can use a friendly letter to keep in touch. Okay. Next, please. I like this exercise very much. And yesterday, our dear speaker Eva Tatarova spoke about visual organizers. Maybe you've been to this session, and she has taught about visual organizers and about the importance of these organizers in teaching and in learning English. So I like mind maps very much. And how can we use these in our activities in teaching writing? For example, in the middle of the mind map here, you can write, for example, informal or a letter to a friend, yes? And just ask your students, your learners, to tell you what can we write in a friendly letter, yes? And they can give their own ideas. And even you can write these ideas on the whiteboard, yes, or wherever you can, and you can get the contact of the friendly letter together, or you can push them to create this content together. So they can write here. What can they write to their friends? They can write about their news, yes, about their school, maybe about their studying, about their hobbies, what they like or what they don't like, yes, likes, dislikes. So you can write everything, all these ideas on the whiteboards or just on paper, and it will be very useful for your students and also for you to start teaching writing a friendly letter. Well, and it's not only this organizer, and Eva has told about 30 organizers she widely uses now, or she has used, and even you can Google these organizers and you can find them, you can try, but if you don't try, you won't know if they work. Yes, so just try everything you can and make the best activities for your students yourself. Because you can't use all. Just choose the most effective for you, for your work, and for your learners. By the way, do you use mind maps? If you use in your work, please write yes in the chat and let me know that you use it. I will be grateful for you, to you. Sorry. So, specific vocabulary. To continue the help of visual organizers, yes, we can use this exercise after mind map. So, if your students tell you about what are they going to write in this letter, it can be likes and dislikes, and you can provide them with this chart. It's very useful and very common. And even you can work with this chart for some time, and it's good phrases for your students to use in the letter to a friend. So, and in this chart, you can do a lot of exercises. Yes, you can just do matching exercises or something like these, and you can even just give this chart to your students, and they can use it in their writing. Thank you very much for your comments. I followed them because we don't have so much time. I would like to tell you everything. Okay, but for 30 minutes, it's nearly impossible to do that. So just use these charts. I think you use it, but I just try you to explain what I've used widely. So visual friends, visual aids. If you take friendly letter, this is very good if you take into account different learning style of your students. Yes, because you know that there are about 8 learning styles, and for example, some students can receive information orally, yes, some visually, some kinesthetic, and so on. So it's really important for a group of students to provide them with different kinds of activities that are suitable for their learning styles. And this exercise is also very cool for this purpose. So just look, you can use icons, yes, different picture icons. For example, if we take some part of friendly letter, heading, greeting, body, closing, and signature, you can just look for them in Google or other sites, yes, and you can choose for them and to do a lot of exercises. You can do matching exercises also, and you can just explain, and nearly they can understand how to write and what to write. Even here you can write any examples of heading. Here you can write any examples of greeting, hello, hi, yes. Here you can write, how is it going? I've got great news, and something like that. Closing, see you soon, keep in touch, let's keep in touch, or something like that. And the signature, of course, you just say goodbye to your friend and just write your name and so on. And these visual aids are super for this type of writing, and I think for your students it will be very interesting. Next, continuing the previous exercise, you can also make a chart, yes, of these titles. For example, heading, greeting, body, closing, and signature. Or even you don't need to write. You can even put a picture. Yes, for example, body, you can put a heart, and then your students understand that what are they going to write in this column. And you can make a list of common phrases and common words for this kind of writing, and just ask them to put the necessary phrase into the necessary column. And they like this exercise. It's not very difficult, but later for them it will be a good help what to write in their own letter. Yes, so they will have all phrases for heading, for greeting, for body, for closing, and for signature. I think it's also great, and even you can use it in another way. You can mix the titles, so you can imagine and do any exercise you want. I think you are here, you are with me. And if you use such kinds of tasks, such charts, if you like them, or if you prefer using in your work, please put 10 in the chart and let me know that you use it. Put 10. Thank you very much for your attention. Thanks that you are listening to me and that you are very active in the chart. Today we have wonderful day with wonderful speakers, all of them, and I'm really proud that I am among such speakers. So thank you very much for your tens. Now we are going to the next activity. It's a good game. I think that you've heard about it. It is called The Crazy Story, but I paraphrase the best story for my pupils, for my students. And the main point of this story is to creating a story. Yes, even if you teach individually, or even if you teach a group of students, it works. It really works. And how to use it? You can use with 2 learners or 1 learner, or you can use in a team. You take 3 participants from each team, yes, and these all participants must make a sentence and repeat the previous sentence. So this is the process, the continuous process of making sentences. And after all these activities, your students will be able to write what they can talk in their friendly letter, and then it will be easier for them to write these sentences. For example, student 1 says, hello, Dan. The second one, hello, Dan, how are you? Yes. The third one, hello, Dan, how are you? I've got great news. And then continue. It's good because these phrases are really useful for them, and then they will know what to write. That's all. It's really simple. It's really simple, but this works. Believe me, I've used it after my TESOL course, because during our course, our best trainers used all these activities teaching us. And also I've used some of these exercises before, but the best story in writing I use only now, because most of them can be used in speaking also, yes, but in writing, it's also a good tip for writing. So we're going to the next very important thing for writing. So if you teach writing at the lesson, and if your students write a letter during the lesson, it's very important to prepare task for fast finishers, because you always will have students who finish beforehand. And I think you know this situation, and it's important for them not just to sit and to wait or make something bad in your classroom, yes, or just waste their time. So you can prepare a small task, yes, not difficult for your student, not time consuming, and I think no more than 3 or 5 minutes, yes. And it's really important. Where to get these tasks. You can just ask our Google, yes, just Google and type task for fast finishers for writing or something like that. And for example, this example is from Google. I just Googled this to show you how we can create a task for fast finishers, or you can do it yourself according to your topic, yes, and according to your goal during the lesson. And I highlight that it mustn't be very difficult, yes, because these students, it can be one student or two students, yes, they must cope with this task as another group, yes. So, and just think about it, and I think you know your students. When you teach writing, it's not for the first time, it's not your first lesson with these students, so you know their possibility and you know how they can work with your tasks. Well, I think it's clear. Tell me, please, do you use tasks for fast finishers, or you just heard about them for the first time now during this session? If you didn't know about this, please put no, write no. If you used it and now use, just put yes. I will just see your comments. Yes, a jumbled letter in the correct order without the table, it's great activity. There are a lot of activities for writing. And even during my courses for Ukrainian teachers, I have really a lot of information about this topic, about these macro skills. And it's really very, very big topic. And we can't talk about it only for 20 or 30 minutes. But never ask it Google. Okay, thank you. Now you can ask, or if you do it yourself, it's great. Thanks. We have so wonderful, so experienced teachers today in our chat, listening to our conference. It's great. Thank you for your answers. Let's go next. Sources for writing. Well, you know that there are offline and online sources nowadays. If we talk about online sources, I prepared for you some links. They are clickable. After the conference, you will get, I hope you will get the presentations of all speakers, yes? And you can go to this link and just read information about writing. It's interesting here and useful for you. Also, you can use Pinterest program, yes, to have any ideas about writing or to have any ideas for your lessons. It's very useful site. Also, Google as usual. And when we talk about offline resources, I would like to talk about templates that you can create yourself. For example, for my students, I've created templates and they just use them. We learn them, we work with them, and it's easier for them to have all in one folder. It's also easier for you, for your work, and you can create these templates and use widely during your work. And of course, students' book. I think you know that at the end of each student's book, there is some, for example, writing focus, and there are common phrases for all types of writing. Yes, if we talk about informal letter, there are some phrases for the beginning, for the main part, and for the ending of this letter. And also we can use, I haven't mentioned about linking words, but there are a lot of linking words, even the list of linking words, and the examples in the text, how can we use them, yes, to make the text more current and to make it more pretty, I would say. Well, and also students' book, just use it, and I always use books as my background as one of the main things during my lessons, but even you can create yourself, and as I see you can do it. Well, we're going next. What can I tell you about my activity now? For all the participants of this conference, I would like to give some presents. It's not presents, it's a promo code. It's SUTO 2019. Where can you use this code? Well, you know that I've mentioned at the beginning of my presentation that I provide webinars for teachers and courses, online course for Ukrainian teachers. But I would like to do these maybe not only in the Ukrainian language, but also in English. And if you want to receive information about future online webinars or courses, just go to this link. This is the Google form. Just fill in this form, and in this case, you let me know that I can send you news about future webinars or courses. So if you are interested in these, please fill in the form. These emails will be only in my responsibility, yes, in my personal computer. So don't worry, I would not give them to anyone, and just only to inform you about my courses, about my webinars. So if you want, you can go to this link. And as you know, I've done TESOL course in Baku, and now I have a lot of things, a lot of information for you to share, and I would like to do this in the nearest future. Okay. Well, and where can you find me? You can find me everywhere. I have my own website. I've told that it's only for Ukrainian teachers. Sorry, guys, because before I worked only with Ukrainian teachers, but maybe everything will be changed. You can write me on my email. It's my personal email. I have Viber, WhatsApp, and also my Facebook profile. It's my personal page, and Facebook page Svitlana.Mazur.teacher. Also Instagram, but you know, I'm not a fan of Instagram. I'm a fan of Facebook, and you can just ask me any questions. You are welcome to do this anytime, but of course, working time. And it was really nice to tell you all this information about myself and about my previous experience and about my studying. And I would like to tell you that just don't stop. And I really believe that you don't stop. Just never stop learning, try anything new, and visit all possible conferences, webinars, and courses that you can afford and you can do and you can visit. Believe me, because the opportunity to do TESOL course I won during the conference, the international conference Teaching English Globally in Kiev. And at that time, I won the certificate, and this was the beginning of my studying in Baku, provided by SR Teaching and Learning. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for attention that you are with me. I don't know. Just a minute. I'm going to come back to you. Now, I think you can see me. I'm here. So thank you very much. Don't stop. Just visit all conferences organized by SUTO, organized by SR Teaching and Learning, organized by Eva Tatarova. Please, it's a good opportunity for you to go up. And thank you very much. I'm finishing, and I give the floor to the next speaker. Thank you very much.
Hi, everybody. Great. I'm in the show. Good. Thank you very much, Svitlana. Thank you. it's a very nice thing to see such a keen teacher. It's a great thing. I mean, I've been teaching for a long time, and I meet a lot of teachers who are quite tired with it, and it's a great thing to see somebody with a lot of energy and keenness still there, and wonderful. Thank you very much indeed. Great. My name is Paul Harvey. I'm in England at the moment. I work in Morocco, where I've lived for a long time, and I do a lot of work across the Middle East and North Africa, where I've lived for the last 30 years. So today, what I want to do is to talk to you about a subject that's very dear to my heart, which is drama. And I'm very pleased to get involved in Ukraine. It's a part of the country, a part of the world that I've never been to. And my first opportunity was again, as Svitlana has just mentioned, through SR Teaching and Learning. I was invited to Azerbaijan in April, and I did a conference there, a very enjoyable conference that we did there in Baku. And I'm hoping very much as well that I shall be invited to another one in Ukraine in October. I hope very much, and where we can do some physical drama. It's quite a strange thing to be doing drama online, because drama is a get up and do. It's a touchy feely topic. But anyway, today just a quick introduction to drama. So I've got my PowerPoint here, and I'm going to open that up now. So I hope you can see me as I go through it at the same time. I'm not sure what you can see, but I'm assuming that you can see me. Anyway, so what I'm going to be talking about is these are the aims of my session. I'm going to be talking about two kinds of drama. Drama in the classroom where you don't need any movement of furniture. So I'm going to be looking at things you can do with a dialogue. Dialogues are things that we use all the time in teaching English, and it's often the case that what a dialogue becomes is just a reading exercise. It's a reading out loud, and there is so much more you can do with a dialogue. Dialogues are in lots of course books. You can write dialogues yourself. You can get the students to write dialogues. So that's one of the things I'm going to be talking about is what to do with a dialogue. And just at the end of the presentation, I'm going to look at some things you could do in a classroom when maybe if you've got furniture, you can move the furniture a little bit, provide a bit of space in the classroom. I do a lot of work in government schools where there's very little space, but I'm sure there are, if you teach maybe in a school where you have smaller classes and more space, then we're going to look at the end just at a few activities that you might do if you've got some space in the classroom, and you can hello, hi. Okay, share screen. Right. Okay. Yeah. No, all I can say, I put share. Yes. Okay. That's it. Okay. Okay. So if I open the presentation now, you can see it. Okay. I've opened it. Yeah, I can see my presentation, but I can't see. Can the participants see me or just the presentation? Okay. Okay, I can see it. Yeah, it's open now. Okay. Okay. Can you see it now? Right. It's going to be. I need the presentation though. I think that's going to be quite important. But I can carry on for a bit. Okay, you can contact me. Okay. You mean just talk? Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. Will do. Okay, well, I'm sorry you can't see the presentation, but anyway, so what I was talking about was that I'm going to be talking about drama that you can do in a classroom, and I think that it's an important aspect of drama that it's introduced to students step by step. So we're not talking about going straight into a drama club. A drama club is usually for people who are specifically there for a purpose to do drama. What I'm talking about is how just to dramatize your classroom. So why do I use drama? Well, the reasons that I use drama is because I'm concerned about the learning of English being enjoyable. So drama is an energizer. It's something you often get students, whether they're adults or whether they're small children or teenagers who come. And what they need is a little bit of life, a little bit of zest, and drama is a way of energizing students. It's also, and this is the most important thing about drama. Drama is a way of simulating real life situations. It's a way of bringing real life into the classroom, and that's what we should be doing. What we should be doing is the language that we should be teaching should be a reflection as near as possible to actually what the language which is used outside of the classroom. So I'm less concerned with correct grammar. I'm more concerned with reflecting the language that is used, the English language which is used in real life. A lot of people are very good at the grammar, at speaking English with the words in the right order. But what they don't do is to actually add that extra, those paralinguistic features, those features which are so important in language, which is saying how you feel. So using intonation, changes in pitch, changes in volume, changes in speed of language. These are the things which add the reality to language. So it's all very well saying, I was very scared when I saw the dog. I didn't know what to do. That's fine. It's a grammatically correct sentence, but it's how much better if you can say, I was really scared when I saw the dog. I mean, I just didn't know what to do. If you can express it, if you can try to do in English what you do in your first language, then you've added a completely you've added a necessary dimension to your own language. So drama is also a way of developing accuracy, a way of if you have a dialogue. One of the points of dialogues is that if you repeat something enough times. I'm sorry, I'm getting another call now. I'm just going to... Hello. Okay, I'm just going to end the show there. So hide this screen. Yeah, hide this one. Okay, and open the PowerPoint. Oh, okay. Yep, I have. Okay, all right. You want me to send the presentation now? Okay, great. Let me just. Right. Okay. Um, 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 no, it's quite a big presentation. It's just uploading now. Okay. It says at the bottom of my screen, StreamYard is sharing a Chrome tab. Does that mean anything? Okay. 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 All right. Okay. And should I? Okay. All right. I'll just stay on the line. It's just uploading it at the moment to. Right. Okay. All right. I'm just sending it now. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay, so where was I? And I was just saying as well that drama is a great way of developing accuracy, but also a great way for developing fluency. One of the things that we do a lot in drama is improvisation, and this is something that can be done very easily in a classroom, but also in a drama club. Improvisation is a topic all on its own, but improvisation means is a way of putting students in real life situations, or even in situations that they might not have experienced in real life, and actually getting them to make up words, getting them to use any language that they have at their disposal. So getting them to experiment with language. And one of the great rules of improvisation is that nothing is wrong. It's just getting students to have the confidence to start using language. So improvisation, as I say, it's another topic. It's a topic all on its own. But improvisation is the best way, and there are 1,000 forms of improvisation, of getting students to experiment with language without having to worry whether the language is necessarily right or wrong. And the last good thing about drama is that it's a change from the course book, and sometimes we need to get away from the course book and do something different. What about the drawbacks? Well, I'll just because of the problems we've had, I'll go quite quickly through this. And obviously, one of the drawbacks for students is that not everybody is an extrovert. So the activities that I'm going to be looking at, hopefully, in a few minutes, are activities that the students can do not in front of the class, but can do in pairs or in groups. So that if there are people who are shy, and of course people are people, if there are people who are shy and not so keen about being dramatic in front of others, these activities will be suitable for them. The other thing about drama is that some children will see it as not very cool. It's not the thing to do. They don't want to look stupid. They don't want to look strange in front of other students. So I think one of the things that if I'm training teachers to teach drama is that it's this idea of accepting whatever is presented to you. We're not teaching acting. What we're doing is using drama to teach English. So we're not looking at whether you're going to win an Oscar or not. What we're looking at is your ability to use the English language. For teachers, obviously, the drawbacks are, well, you don't have time. It's the time factor. I don't have time to I've got a syllabus to get through. So these activities that we're going to look at are short activities. They're short 5-10 minute activities. They're not time consuming. We're not talking about drama clubs putting on a play, using a lot of time. Materials, that's the other thing, is teachers say, well, where can I get the materials? I'm going to share my email with you, and if those of you who are interested, I am quite obviously very prepared to share websites and to share materials that I use. I'm old enough to remember the time when sharing was quite difficult. In the age that we live in now, sharing materials is a very simple thing to do. And so I'll be giving you my email. Just some other drawbacks as well. I'm talking about drawbacks here, just because it's important that we don't just rush in and say, look, drama is wonderful and that everything is great. So I've got another phone call coming in. Hi. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Well, it'll go quite, and also there's some audio as well on the presentation. So there's audio on the presentation and yeah, and video. Right. Okay. Yeah. Shall I just talk? Yeah. Okay. And do you want me to stay on the phone with you to tell you when to no, no. I mean, I can just I can talk for 15 minutes if you like it, but yeah, okay. Is that so? Right. Okay. Okay. All right. So what can the participants see at the moment? Oh, they can just see me. Okay. Right. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. So I'll just carry on. That's okay. All right. Great. Okay. Well, I'm sorry you can see me. I can't see you, but you can see me. It's a pity you can't see the presentation. So I have some videos and some audio on there. But it's a pity you can't see it. But I hope that Eva will share it with you so that you can watch it at home and get in touch with me with any questions that you have. So there's my email. So exploiting dialogues. One of the things that I get very fed up with when I'm watching is you have a dialogue that you have in class that is used in class, and what the students do is they simply read it. So I have a dialogue here. It's to practice the present continuous tense. And it starts like this. It starts with, it's Sarah talking to David. And so Sarah says, David, there's a man out there. And David says, so is that a problem? And Sarah says, no, but Dad, he's trying to open your car. And David says, what? And Sarah says, well, he's opening the door of your car. And what happens is students read it in a very sort of, David, there's a man out there. So is that a problem? No, they read it in this monotone. So one of the things I always say is if you're going to use a dialogue, what you need to do is to take important lines or phrases from the dialogue and drill them and drill them in an interesting way, not in a just sort of a military repeat after me, but take the sentence, he's trying to open the car, he's trying to open the car, he's trying to open the car. So think of ways that you can drill that sentence, that you can get students to repeat that sentence lots and lots of times. Take a few of the sentences, experiment with changes in volume, with changes of voice. So actually, take a line from the dialogue, like I'm telling you now, and do it in amusing ways. So do it like, I'm telling you now, or I'm telling you now, just so that what students are doing is using the point of the dialogue is to practice the present continuous tense. So take lines from the dialogue and do some what I would call experimental drilling. Drilling is something that a long time ago, when I first started teaching, we were told not to do because it was boring. But now it's come back again. It's come back again, and it's a good thing, because if you drill with students, what you're doing is getting that language fixed in their head. So if you've got a dialogue, take some lines out, not too many, 3 or 4, and really think about ways I can make drilling amusing and fun. Another way is to get them to do the dialogue in a different genre. So say, look, here's your dialogue. Now imagine that you're doing it in the style of an action movie. So get them to think of different film styles: action, horror, romance, and get them to do the dialogue in different styles. So let me take 3 lines from the dialogue, or 4. So the lines are, David. And then David says, what? And then Sarah says, he's driving away in your car. And then David says, who is? So if you get them to do the dialogue in a romantic way, for example, it might be, David. And David says, what? He's driving away in your car. Who is? Then you might get them to do it in the style of a horror movie. So you might go, David, what? He's driving away in your car. If you're prepared to look a bit silly, I think one of the things about using drama is the teacher has to be prepared to look a little bit daft, a little bit silly. And if you give a good example of what you mean, and then get the kids, the students, to do it in different styles. Again, you've got a whole class of students, say you've got 30 students, you've got 50 pairs, and you just get them to experiment with doing the dialogue in different styles. If you do it in a horror style, if you do it in a romantic style, if you do it in an action movie style, how does it change how you say the lines? Okay. The next thing is some dialogues are what I would call dialogues which are non-specific, so that the context of the dialogue is, and I can share many of these dialogues with you. So I call them contextless dialogues. In other words, that they, I mean, it's all on the presentation. It's a bit difficult to explain now, but when you read the dialogue, the context is not clear. So if I just read you the first 8 lines from this one, this dialogue is called "Where is it?" And the first 8 lines are, where is it? I don't know. Well, what do you mean I don't know? Well, I don't. Well, why don't you know? Well, because I don't know where it is. Well, listen, I gave it to you. Yes, I know you did. So those are the first 8 lines. What you get the students to do is to give them this dialogue, and this is just one example of a context-less dialogue. You give them the dialogue and you say, well, you provide the context. Is it a mother and a daughter? Is it a husband and a wife? Is it a boss and an employee? Who is it? So they take the dialogue and they make the dialogue their own. They put the context on it. And because they put their own context on it, every dialogue will be different. And again, going back to that point of if you get students to work on a dialogue like this, you're not going to ask everybody to perform the dialogue. You're only going to ask. You're not going to push anybody to do this in front of the class. But I always find that there are three kinds of people when it comes to drama. There are people who are going, yeah, choose me. There are some people who will never want to be chosen. But there are a group in the middle who will do it if their friend does it, who will do it if the teacher is prepared to do it as well. So it's those people in the middle as well that you have to cater for. So there are other examples of this as well. And while I'm talking about dialogues, one of the great things about dialogues is this is practicing chunks of language, what we refer to as chunks of language. So groups of words that go together that are very common in the English language. Things like just because, or it'll only take a minute, or I just can't, or wait here. So a lot of these dialogues are full of these chunks of language, expressions in English which are very, very common. And by putting them in context, what we're doing is sharing real English with students. Other kinds of dialogue, I'll skip through these ones, are short dialogues which have a specific point. So one of them there is looking at everyday language, these chunks of language, these common chunks of language. But other ones is conflict. That if you can get short dialogues, and I said when I say short dialogues, I mean dialogues which where the lines are not too long. So there's not a lot of words for students to trip over. So each line is called a turn, so that you've got short turns. And these particular dialogues will be concerned with conflict. I mean, drama is all about conflict, and because conflict produces emotion in students. So short dialogues, not too many words for them to trip over, like the one here. There are two men arguing here. What did you say? You heard. You shouldn't have said that. Whatever. What's your problem? You're my problem. You make problems, etc., etc. So it's a dialogue that students can practice, not in front of the class, but what it's trying to do is to get them to experiment with emotion. So here's another dialogue here, which is about somebody losing a wallet. So anything with one strong emotion, conflict, or tension, or panic, or hyper emotion, anything like this where the lines are short. These are the sorts of dialogues that we should be practicing with students. And the last thing is a type of dialogue is gossip. Having people do dialogues where people are gossiping. And the thing about gossiping is when we gossip, what we do is we change our voice a lot. We start to whisper and we go. So this dialogue says things like, tell him what? You know what? Oh, really? No. Yeah. Amazing. So one, conflict, two, hypertension, or three, gossip. All these kind of dialogues are dialogues which are aimed at getting students to experiment with paralinguistic features, with features on top of normal language, of bringing the language to life, of making English sound as real as possible. one of the things I do with students as well, and this is all on the PowerPoint when you see it, is getting students to translate from their own language. So what they do is they write a short 8-line dialogue, or this one actually is 2, 4, 6, 8. So this is about 12 lines. So 6 turns each. So 6 for A and 6 for B, writing a short turn in their own language, but keeping each turn no more than 4 or 5 words. And then they write it in their own language, they perform it in their own language, and then we translate it into English. And that, I mean, some people are of the view that you should never, never use the L1, the first language, the mother tongue in the classroom. I used to think that. I don't think that when it comes to drama, because I think sometimes if students, one, they write a dialogue that is pertinent, that is meaningful for them in their own language, they practice it in their own language, and then when you translate it into English, because the lines are not too long, this is easy, it becomes far more real. Great. Okay. The other thing I do is to have dialogues. There's some examples here of dialogues which are mimed. So again, they're dialogues where nothing is said. You get the students to mime the dialogue before they do it with words. So they mime the dialogue first, and then they put it into words. And because they've mimed it, what happens is that the language is brought to life far more obviously, because they've mimed the dialogue first. So there's lots of dialogues like that. This one is called Elephant, about people seeing an elephant. There's another one about a spider, one about a dinosaur. So all the words, that they have the words of the dialogue, but instead of speaking the words, what they do is they mime without saying a word. So they do the whole dialogue, but just with their bodies. Great. Okay. So I don't know how much time I've got left, but the last thing is I wanted to look at today, and I had examples of this, was looking at improvisation. And improvisation is something that can be done in a classroom. And in order to get students ready for doing improvisation, what you could do is you provide them with a short dialogue, or at least a dialogue where each turn, so each speech, is very short, no more than 5 or 6 words. And then you reduce that, you get them to do that dialogue, and then you reduce it down to the absolute minimum. So lots of the words are missing. So for example, here the line is, "I'm afraid you can't sit here." That's the full line. You reduce that to "can't sit here." So what the students have is a reduced version of the dialogue, and it gets them into the idea that they've got to make stuff up. They have half of the line, but the other half, they've got to make it up. And this is a way of leading them in to doing improvisation, because in improvisation what they have to do is to make up the whole dialogue, so that you put them in situations where they are going to have to everything they say is going to come from them. Nothing is written down. So what you can do is to provide them with a dialogue and then reduce the dialogue down to prompts, and then get them to do the dialogue from the prompts. And it's just getting them used to, it's like having a safety net. So the safety net, if you're walking across a tightrope and you have a safety net underneath, when you come to improvisation, you've taken the safety net away. But when you're doing the dialogue with the prompts, it's like you've got a safety net, because you've got some of the words there, but not all of them. So when you come on to doing improvisation, there are several improvisation games that I wanted to mention today. You could start off by, I think it gives students confidence if you give students a situation, a conflict situation. So for example, a teacher and a late student. and you do it as a whole class exercise. So you build up a dialogue on the board with the whole class giving you suggestions. So don't make it too long, don't make the lines too long, but you have the teacher, the late student, and you get ideas from the class and you build up the dialogue on the board. Possibly no more than 5 exchanges each, 5 for the teacher and 5 for the students. I'd say 7 at the most, so that you get used, the students get used to what you want them to do. When you say, okay, now I want you to do the same situation or a similar situation, but you're not going to write anything down. You're just going to practice having that conversation. One of the great, and if you look at the PowerPoint, you'll see this. There is it's just a couple of improvisation games just to finish with. One of them is called Story from 4. And again, you can see this, and you can see a video example of this. You give students in groups 4 words, and all they have to do is to make a short mini drama that takes 1 minute. But they must use those 4 words. They can use any other words they like, but they just have to include those 4 words. So the one that you'll see, the students were given the words hat, really, tree, and phone, and they made, you'll see it, it's a very amusing little sketch that they made together, just using those 4 words, and others, but those 4 words have to be included. The classic improvisation game is freeze, where you get the students in a circle and 2 people come into the middle of the circle, and they simply improvise a sketch. So they can be anybody. It might be a mother and a daughter, a boss and an employee. It might be 2 people who've crashed their cars. These people start a conversation. You let it go on for about 15-20 seconds, and you say freeze. And the 2 people in the middle of the circle freeze. And then you call out another name, and somebody else from the circle will come in, touch one of the people in the middle of the circle. That person will leave the circle, and then the person who came in, who touched one of the people, the newcomer, will then start a whole new scenario with the person who is in the middle. And you can see an example of this on the PowerPoint. And then this goes on. So each time somebody new comes in, you say, so after about 20 seconds, you say freeze, the people freeze, and then one of the participants leaves, another participant comes in, and a new scenario begins. And what's nice about this activity is that you don't force anybody to do it. If you know your class well, you know which people you can nominate to go and which people you should leave to choose themselves. So you don't push anybody to do it. Lots of situations, I just leave it up to the students, and the students who want to go into the circle go into the circle, and the students who don't. And one other one that you can see on the PowerPoint is build-up improvisation, where the students in the circle, you simply say to students, working in groups now, sorry, not in a circle, working in groups, and you ask them to make shapes. So in there, so you've got 30 kids in a class, they're in groups of 3 or 4, and you say, right, 20 seconds, you've got to make a boat. They quickly, and they've got 20 seconds or whatever to form a boat with their bodies. So they work together, and then you might say a mobile phone. So they've got to make a mobile phone, a fruit bowl. They make a fruit bowl, an aeroplane. So what they're doing is getting together as a group, working and making these shapes using their bodies. Okay, so it's a pity we couldn't see the improvisation. But I hope that I'll meet you, some of you at least, in Ukraine in October, and that we can do some drama together. Okay. I can dictate my email if anybody wants to get in touch. So it's P Harvey. So it's PHARVEY 75 at gmail.com. So that's PHARVEY 75, P Harvey at gmail.com. Okay, so thank you very much for listening, and I hope Eva will send the PowerPoint on to you. And please write to me with any questions that you have, or if you want materials or anything. And I will, I'll get back to you. Okay, all right. Bye-bye.
Hello everybody. Dear Paul, thank you very much for a nice presentation and for really engaging and interesting performance. Let me continue and let me introduce myself. Well, I will share my screen for you to see my presentation. I hope you are just inspired and you are ready to continue our conference today. Okay. I will share my screen right now. Well, I hope you see my screen, and my topic is lab books and interactive workbooks. That's a kind of continuing of Paul Harvey's presentation. Let me introduce myself. My name is Julia Yakovliuk, and I'm a teacher and learning course author. I teach Polish and English for more than 12 years. I've been teaching more than 12 years, actually. I created a course, Polish in 30 days and English in 30 days, because I'm into accelerated learning. I'm an entrepreneur and private language school founder. I live in Lutsk, I live in Ukraine, and here I have two schools. One school is called Mandarin Foreign Languages School, and second school is Julia Yakovliuk Language School. Also, I'm a TV presenter, and I teach English and Polish on local TV. My program is called Mówimy po polsku, and the other program is called Nawczajmy się razem. And I'm a writer. I've written 2 books so far. The first one is called Polish in 30 Days, and the second is about my life. Today, I would like to start with my favorite quotation. That is, tell me and I'll forget. Show me and I may remember. Involve me and I'll learn. I use this quotation not only for presentations, not only at the conferences, but actually in my everyday teaching practice, because I try to involve my students into the learning process as much as I can. Well, the topic is a lab book, and I just find it really engaging and involving thing. And I would like to share with you this amazing technique and this amazing thing that I discovered. Actually, what is a lab book? When I first heard this word, I wondered, is it a special digital thing? What is it? A lab book is just simply a file folder that contains a variety of mini books, foldables, other materials, and they are really interesting to play with. Well, actually, I've recently been focused on teaching adults rather than kids, but I just find a lab book really adorable for grown-ups too. First, I heard about the lab book when I was thinking of how to teach my son, who was 2 years old, how to teach him English, because we used to play, we used to sing different songs, and I just wanted it to be not in an ordinary way. And I came across just a lab book. A lab book, as far as I remember, it was created, the term lab book was created in America. Now we even use lab books in our modern schools in Ukraine. But I've been using lab books for more than 2 years already. And when I say also lab book and interactive workbook, people often think of something really digital. Interactive, well, interactive, that's not because it is digital, that's because you interact with it, that's because you play with it, even if you are not a kid. Actually, you can use anything you like to create your own lab book. You can see on the picture my own lab book, and today I will present you as it is, as I make it and as I made it, and you will see how it works. Well, actually there are different types of lab books. Today I try to focus on a classical lab book. What do you need to create a lab book? You need a hard paper or just a piece of paper. You need pencils, scissors, templates, stickers, glitter glue, scotch tape, and if you decide to play with a lab book with your kid, you'd better use everything in advance. I mean, a child, if it's 2 years old, he or she is 2 years old, will be really inspired, and you need to prepare the songs, you need to prepare all the materials in advance. I just recommend you not to make a lab book by yourself, but involve a kid or an adult to create his or her own lab book. Well, types of lab books. Classical lab book contains like 3 pages and different things that you can interact. You can open it, you can sort out the pictures, you can play with these pictures. Table lab book is when I would recommend you to use it as a second type of your lab book, because if you know how to make a first lab book, then the second lab book will be double. It has a lot of different options, and you can stick together just 2 lab books and make it double, to cover the bigger topic. And interactive workbook. Actually, what is interactive workbook? I use interactive workbooks when I work with adults. Trust me, they really like playing. They are just like kids. What do I mean when I say interactive workbook? That's not ordinary copybook. That's a copybook where you stick some elements. For example, if you learn irregular verbs, that's much interesting when you cover it with the first form and the second form. You open it, you see how it is changed, and that's much more interesting. Well, advantages of lab books. What kind of advantages do they have? First of all, lab books, they allow us to avoid direct translations. When I worked with my child and he was 2, I didn't translate anything, any single word. I just showed some elements, and I just told him that, look, these are scissors. We are cutting the paper. We are sticking this together, and the child was involved into the process, and there was no need to translate. And children and adults, they do love handmade activities. So this is one more advantage. The other is that visual elements. Actually, when you just learn some vocabulary by heart, or when you just try to memorize the words, sticking them, I don't know, to your fridge or on the wall, when the word is just written. But it's much better when you have the visual elements, when you touch it, when you see it, when you see the colors, when you see the schemes. And actually, these lab books, they motivate children to play. This is the book that a child created by himself or by herself. The child will be proud of this book. Trust me that the child will take this book home and will show the parents, or will show this book, this lab book, to the other kids, and just say, look, I created, I made it by myself. This is my book. All my children, they treat lab books not like lab books, not like a book for learning. They treat them like a game, like a thing to play with. And that's really inspiring and motivated. So it means that it's a book and a game. Also, kids play with the lab book even when they are out of classes, even at home or in the playground. They take it, I don't know, when they visit their grandpas and grandmas. Lab book can be with a child everywhere. Well, how much can you teach with one lab book? Well, you can teach grammar with a lab book. You can teach songs, vocabulary, use flashcards, reading, and even writing. Let me show you how it works. I will ask Ярослав to show me. Ярослав, будь ласка, покажи мене, щоб я могла продемонструвати свій lab book. I just asked Yaroslav to show me that, for me to demonstrate my lab book. Okay, this is my lab book, and I made it when my son was 2, and now my son is 4. And you see, we played a lot with this lab book. It is made with a hard paper. I even use a scotch tape to make it really, really strong. Well, what can you learn using this single lab book? Actually, you can learn alphabet. Yeah, ABCD song. You can learn members of the family. This is my son's hand, and the song finger family. Yeah, you can learn members of the family. What else? You can learn also colors, because as you see, all kinds of transports are in different colors. So you can learn also kinds of transport, different vehicles, and they are all in different colors. And you can learn songs. Let me show you how many songs do we have here, because I called this lab book my favorite songs, because my son, he really liked different songs, and I made all his favorite songs in this one lab book. Okay, the first song is ABCD song, and you can sing like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. Then you can learn also numbers, finger family, daddy finger, yeah, like daddy finger, where are you? And you can interact with these fingers even. Then we learn the song Shark, Baby Shark, Shark Family. Here in the envelope, we have all these sharks. We were singing with my son this song, and we were singing like baby shark, do 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 do, and we took mother shark, daddy shark, and so on and so forth. And also we made a bus song. Yeah, the wheels on the bus. You remember the song, the wheels on the bus go round and round, round and round. The door open and shut. Yeah, and in the envelope we had also some elements like the doors on the bus go open and shut, and I just showed the elements of the song to my son. Well, what else? We also learned the song "So Many Ways to Travel." So many ways to travel. And also we learned the song "I Spy with My Little Eye." I spy with my little eye. Well, now you can see how many songs, how many things actually you can learn using this one simple lab book. And after we made this lab book for a few days. You shouldn't make it just at once. We started from the beginning, we just made the color, then we stick some vehicles and we learned the names of the vehicles. Then I asked my son, show me the red bus, and he was looking for the red bus. Show me the police car, show me the blue police car, show me the white plane. The second day we learned the numbers and we stick the bus with the numbers. The next day we just learned the members of the family. I guess we just made it in 2 or 3 days. Well, I strictly recommend you not to make it by yourself, but to involve kids or adults into the process. Ярослав, thank you very much. Ярослав, дякую. Можеш повернути нам презентацію. Okay, ну що ж, now let's continue in English. Who can be involved? I just written in my presentation kids aged 2 up to 102, because after I tried this lab book technique with my son, I was thinking, why not to try a lab book technique with my adult students? And they were amazed. They had a lot of fun, because we made lab books, Friends TV series. Also, we learned clothes, piece of clothing. Also, we made a lab book which was named my favorite films, genres of the films, feelings and emotions. And we made a lab book that was called Phobias. We had some really funny pictures and feelings and emotions. And what else? Furniture, pieces of furniture. And my adult students, they made really amazing projects. I strictly recommend you to use this technique not only with kids, but with adults as well. Well, let me share 3 resources where you can find some materials. Actually, I just told you that you can make lab book by yourself. You can buy all the necessary materials in any stationery shop, but actually you can use a piece of paper and do it with your students. But also I prepared 3 templates for you, and I hope you will receive them on your email. And after you receive them, you just need to print them and to cut them, and you will have, just like me, just like I have, the ready template, like envelopes, folders, doors that can be opened. Everything is ready for you. But what resources I use? I use Pinterest. You just Google lab books, samples, and 3 more resources that I just recommend you to use while making your own lab book. I would like you to join me, so please join my Instagram, Julia Yakovliuk, or Facebook, Julia Yakovliuk. If you have any questions connected with lab books, so please let me know. And because we don't have much time to explain how it works, but I think that's not difficult to create your own lab book. And if you have any ideas of how to use and how to make and engage in lab book, please share with me. I would be really grateful. Let me show you one more picture. You see here we have even not even paper lab book, but piece of clothing. If you are into handmade, you can use anything you like. And you see even, I don't know, some spoons here in your lab book. Actually, if you teach English, that's great, but lab books are so popular nowadays that you can use them not only in teaching English, but any subject. Well, what I've learned recently that using lab books is better than making tests, because students, especially when they are kids, they are not so stressed. They have fun, they are engaged, they are involved into the process, and they remember it better than just having the test. So I just recommend you, if you want to have some tests, just make a lab book with your students. For example, little kids, they just learned animals. You can have a lab book that is called animals. You can have 2 envelopes: wild animals, domestic animals, food that animals eat, yeah, like children of the animals, and so on and so forth. Also, if you learn some grammar, you can also have separate lab book. For example, if you learn what I can do, what I can't do, or what I like doing, what I don't like doing, you can also have a lab book and 2 envelopes. I like doing, I don't like doing, and the kid, they just put the cards into the separate envelopes. I used also some puzzles for them in this lab books. What else? I used games, board games in my lab book. Anything you like. Well, and as I just mentioned, you will receive a small present from me. You will receive templates that you can just cut and create your own lab book. I recommend you to use bright colors, because if the lab book is not in color, that looks dull. So if you don't have the possibility to print it just like my lab book, to print it in color, you can use just colored paper and stick it, because children and even adults, they like when it is colored, when it's colorful, when it's bright, vivid, and they just remember it better. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for your attention, and please join me on my free resources, Julia Yakovliuk, Instagram and Facebook. This summer, I just created different courses. I made a short course, English for Traveling. This is the video course where I explain the words and the phrases at the hotel, the beach, at the restaurant. I have video and a vocabulary and a grammar, so you can share these resources with your students. If you have questions, so please don't hesitate and contact me. And I wish you to have really nice and inspiring lessons using lab books, using different resources, and stay in touch. Thank you. Goodbye.
Well, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, depending on where you are and which country you're from. Well, my name is Akbar Ghafouri, the TESOL and CELTA trainer working in countries like Japan, South Africa, Iran, Georgia, Azerbaijan, as well as Armenia. After special thanks to Julia for her inspiring speech, I'd love to thank Ms. Tatiana Hina, the director of Ukrainian Teacher Training Center, SUTA, and also Ms. Eva Tatarova, the head of international projects, for holding this international online conference, to give me the chance to talk to you all great teachers and colleagues. First of all, I have to confess, due to some of the technical problems I have with the internet here in Iran, Eva is going to help me with the slideshows. Eva, thank you very much. Well, I would like to take this opportunity to introduce another guy, Samad Samadov, the establisher of SR Teaching and Learning in Baku, Azerbaijan, that provides TESOL courses, of course, international TESOL courses in Baku, which is globally accredited. And I have the honor to be one of the TESOL trainers there. Adding one more thing is that August 19th will be the next TESOL course. I'm waiting for you to see you all there. Well, let's go to the next slide, please. Thank you. Now I'm delighted to be here today, of course, this evening, to tell you about errors and mistakes. First, I would like to ask you, what's your attitude is toward error and mistakes? How do you feel when your students make mistakes? Do you think that the process of teaching and learning is hindered and stopped by errors and mistakes? Another question, what is the difference between error and mistakes in an ELT context? Should learners' mistakes be corrected? Why? Why not? When should learners' mistakes be corrected? Which mistakes should be corrected? Who should do the correcting? And so many other questions. So let's go back to the first question. What's your attitude is toward error and mistakes? Do you like to know what mine is? I will let you know. To me, errors are a gift for the class. Can you imagine? Yes, errors are a gift for me. And I have two reasons for that. Let me let you know. The first reason. The first reason. Reason for what? Reason for that I claim errors are a gift for the class is that errors produce a rich source of language to work with. And number two, errors give teachers real information on where the learners are with the language. Let me explain a little more. I said that my attitude toward errors and mistakes is like a gift for the class. And I had two reasons. The first reason was that errors produce a rich source of language to work with. And another reason that I had for that claim was that errors give teachers real information on where the learners are with the language. So in one way, I can say that errors are helpful. Yes, errors help the teachers to teach better. Can you imagine? I myself think, errors and mistakes are just like the road signs. Have you ever driven a car? Have you noticed those signs erected by the side of the road? I think errors and mistakes are just like the road signs, which road? The road of teaching, and give instructions and provide information to who? To the teachers. Yes, errors and mistakes are just like the road signs erected at the side of the road of teaching, giving instructions and provide information to the teachers. What kind of information? What kind of instructions? I'll let you know. Instructions like when to stop teaching. Information like when to slow down teaching. Instruction like when to repeat teaching and when to correct the students. See, I'm not afraid of making mistakes. Of course, not me. I mean, the time that my students make mistakes. I'm not afraid of errors and mistakes in my classes. I always welcome them. They are helpful. They're like the signs, letting me know when to stop, when to slow down, when to repeat teaching, and when to correct my students' mistakes. That's it. Another thing that I like to mention is the importance of tolerance of errors and mistakes in language production. What do you mean by this? I know you have this question. You know, how you deal with errors depends on the task that you use in your classes. If the focus is on form, remember, if the task that you're using in your class is focusing on form, then there will be more of a focus on accuracy. But if the focus is fluency and developing confidence, then the tolerance issue will be more important, not the correction. not the correction, not the correction. I mean that we're not supposed to stop the students all the time to correct them. Sometimes the tolerance of error and mistake is more important than the correction itself, especially the time that you are dealing with the confidence, with the developing confidence of the students, especially the time that you're dealing with the fluency but not the accuracy. See, this is the way that I look at the errors and mistakes. Eva, is that possible to go to the next slide, please? Thank you. Well, no doubt that you are probably sitting wondering what the difference between error and mistake is. I'll let you know. You know, errors occur when learners produce incorrect language because they do not know the correct form. Remember, it's important. When the student doesn't know the correct form of the language, at that moment, he makes an error. But mistakes occur when learners produce incorrect language despite their prior knowledge. What do you mean by despite their prior knowledge? It means that they've already learned that grammar, they've already learned that rule, but they fail to utilize. They fail to use that correctly. So at that moment, mistake happens. Now it's easy to understand the difference between error and mistake. This means learners or teachers can usually correct mistakes, but by definitions that I mentioned a minute ago, we cannot correct errors. Errors need to be dealt with, teaching or reteaching. Got it? That's it. You know, everybody knows Douglas Brown. According to him in 1994, a mistake is a performance error. Listen, please. He believes that a mistake is a performance error that is either a random guess or a slip, and that it is a failure to utilize a noun system correctly. Kind of complicated. I'm going to let you know in some simple words. You know, mistake is related to the performance of the learner. When you know the rules, when you know the system of rules of the language, but you fail to utilize it. Conversely, errors are often a result of the lack of knowledge, lack of confidence of whom? Of the learners. When you do not know the rules, then the error happens. According to these definitions, as I mentioned a minute ago, native speakers can make mistakes in their own language, but not the errors. Mistakes can be a result of overgeneralization or misapplication of rules, or simply overenthusiasm or anxiety. You know, the time that your student is stressed out, he may have a mistake, but not an error. Once the cause has been established, can be dealt with by a number of correction techniques that we will be dealing with later after this. Remember that errors need to be dealt with by teaching or reteaching. Remember that we cannot correct errors. Teaching or reteaching, as I mentioned, is the only thing that we can deal with the errors. Despite what I said about correction, it is common to say error correction. You know why? Because in everyday language, the words error and mistakes are often used interchangeably. If we say error correction, it doesn't mean that we correct the errors. In fact, we correct the mistakes. But because these two words are being used interchangeably, then we say error correction. Eva, next slide, please. Question. Should learners' mistakes be corrected? Why? Why not? When should we correct them? Which mistakes need to be corrected? Now we know that learners' mistakes can be corrected. And the errors need to be dealt with the teaching and reteaching. I have to repeat this. But the question is that, should learners' mistakes be corrected? Well, the answer is teaching approaches that emphasize production of correct sentences, such as audiolingualism based on behavior, are not tolerant of mistakes. But communicative language teaching, as we say CLT, places more emphasis on communication and less on formal correctness. Then we can say we can tolerate mistakes or errors. It depends on the approaches. If the approach is based on the behaviorism, like audiolingualism, they do not tolerate any mistakes. But I'm going to make it much more simple. As I mentioned, it depends to you and to the task and to the purpose of your teaching. Are you focusing on the accuracy or fluency? If your focus is on a form, then mistakes need to be corrected as soon as possible, but not a fluency, but not a process in which you're going to develop confidence. Got it? That's it. Mistakes in speaking can be corrected in two ways. Sometimes it is on the spot or after speaking activity. I'm talking about the speaking activity. You know, while the students are talking or while they're speaking or practicing speaking in class, this correction can be done in two sessions. You know, sometimes it is on the spot or after speaking activities as well. We call it delayed correction. So remember two words. On the spot activity, we call it during the speaking activity. And another one is delayed correction after a speaking activity. Yeah. When correcting learners' written work, it's time to correct the written work of the students. The teacher can correct mistakes or merely indicate that a sentence or a paragraph contains some mistakes. So you can see that on the spot is sometimes spatially related to the speaking activity. Some may claim that every mistake should be corrected, while others may argue that only mistakes that cause a breakdown in communication should be dealt with. I myself believe that. As I mentioned, it depends on the task. It depends on the task. If it focuses on the form, then correct, then correct, then correct the mistake. But if it focuses on communication, if it focuses on fluency, if it focuses on developing confidence of the learners, you need to tolerate. You need to tolerate them. Got it. Eva, next slide, please. Thank you. Well, as you see on the slide, there are some different kinds of mistakes. You can see there are four here, like grammatical, lexical, pronunciation, and appropriacy mistakes. Grammatical mistakes, like maybe you just noticed that in your classes with your students, that your student says, I am agree with you. Or they say something like this: in our country exist many problems. Instead of saying that there are many problems, they say that in our country exist many problems. We call them grammatical mistakes. Lexical mistakes, like someone who says amount of people, or instead of using the correct collocation, they say that we should defend the environment. We do not, defend and environment do not come together. Another mistake that we have here, and it's you see, is appropriacy mistake. Instead of using here you are, here it is, the student says, please. Well, we call it appropriacy mistake. Of course, no need to give an example for pronunciation mistake. It's so frequent in our classes. let it go. For common mistakes that I mentioned, and I categorize them in 4 categories, you may want to break down the mistakes into further categories. These additional, or I can say finer categories, may include word order mistakes, wrong form or wrong tense. Also, lexical mistakes can be subdivided into collocational errors, like defending the environment. Why do we call it collocational errors? Because the students do not know that these 2 words go with each other. That's why I call it error, but not a mistake. Or wrong word error, like I was nervous. Instead of saying I was angry, the student says I was nervous. Again, I call it error. Do you know why? That's true, because students do not know that these 2 words do not go with each other. Also, we have another mistake. We call it spelling mistake. So, common mistakes, 4 categories: grammatical, lexical, pronunciation, and appropriacy. Again, we had some subdivisions as well, like, as I said, collocational error, wrong word error, spelling mistakes, and so on. Eva, next slide, please. Thank you. Okay, as you see here on the slide, we have something like oral error correction. Let's look at the common ways of correcting learners' mistakes that teachers use in the class. I'm sure that you have the chance to reflect on your own methods of error correction now, and then look at the interesting research findings regarding the effectiveness of different types of error corrections. I'm going to just review 6 oral error techniques that teachers use to correct the students' mistake in the class. Remember that. After this, you will be surprised by some of the research findings about the effectiveness and the frequency of the oral error techniques. So, as I said, we want to get familiar with 6 common ways of correcting the mistakes and the most frequent and the most effective ones. I have to mention that again. The research finding will surprise you, will surprise you, will surprise you. You say no? Let's see. The first technique, as you see, that I'm going to talk about is elicitation. The teacher directly elicits the correct form from the learner. Remember, I love that expression. The teacher elicits the correct form from the learner. How? By asking learners to reformulate the utterance. Like what? The teacher say, I'm sorry, say that again? Or by pausing to allow the learner to complete the teacher's utterance. That is, for example, it's a, or by asking questions. The teacher just gives that hint to the student to reformulate her or his utterance. Let's take a look at this example. The student says, or the learner says, we got down from the bus. The teacher suddenly says, how do we say that in English? What do you do with the bus? We, and the student has the chance to correct himself or herself. That's it. I love this technique. Let's review that again. In elicitation, the teacher directly, remember, keywords, the teacher directly elicits the correct form from the learner. So who corrects? I think the student or the learner. I can say that the learner herself or himself corrects. How? Teacher asks learners to reformulate the utterance that he or she said. For example, by expression like, sorry, say that again. Or I say, just by pausing before the mistake. Remember the example? It's a, it's a. Well, this is good. I love it. And I use it in my class. How about you? I hope you use it as well. So elicitation, the first technique, just thought. Eva, let's go to the next slide, please. Thank you. You see the second one is explicit correction. As I said, let's go to the second technique of oral error correction, that is explicit correction. You know, the teacher, first of all, I'm going to just give you a minute to think. Explicit correction, explicit correction. Okay, I'm going to explain what it is. The teacher clearly indicates that the learner's utterance was incorrect. Ooh, I don't like this, really. I don't like being a learner or a student in a class while the teacher is going to use this way of correction to correct my mistake. Why? You know why? Because I don't have the chance to correct myself. Because he may correct me in front of the other. The teacher clearly indicates that my utterance, that my sentence was incorrect. Do you like that? Imagine that you're a student and your teacher does the same with you. You like it? I don't. I'm sure neither. You. Anyway, as I said, that in explicit correction, the teacher clearly indicates that the learner's utterance was incorrect. Then the teacher, he himself or she herself provides the correct form. I can't believe that, but we have this technique of correction. Let's take a look at this example. Poor learner says, but it's not matter because they can. The teacher suddenly stops to say that it doesn't matter. We need does before a verb. Understand? And the teacher and the learner or the student feels shy and say that, yes, I agree. Okay, I try not to repeat that. This is the way that I don't like to correct or to be corrected. Eva, next slide, please. Thank you, Eva. Let's take a look at the third. But before I think of clarification requests, let's review the first. What was the first? Okay, good memories. Oh, nice. Thank you, Eva. You're right. Yes, the first one was exactly. Elicitation. Okay. What about the second? I didn't like that. Yes, it was explicit correction. Which one I used? Yes, I use most of the time elicitation, but not explicit correction. Do you know why I hate explicit correction? Well, somebody may love. I don't know, but I myself don't like it because I do not have the chance to correct myself as a student. Anyway, let's talk about clarification request. Still, I'm going to give you a minute to think about it. Clarification request. Do you think that gives the chance to the students to have self-correction or no? I think yes. Okay, I'm going to talk about it. The third is clarification requests. By using phrases like, excuse me, or I don't understand, the teacher indicates that the message has not been understood. The teacher indicates that there is something wrong with the sentence that the students uttered. I love this way of correcting as well. So let's review again. Clarification requests. By this technique, the teacher uses phrases like, excuse me, I don't understand, or another here to indicate that the message or the sentences that was uttered by the students had some problems with. And then he or she gives kind of chance to the student to think what the problem is or was with a sentence that she said or he said. Got it? Clarification requests by using phrases like, excuse me, I don't understand. The teacher indicates that the message is not being understood or that the learner's utterance contained some kind of mistake and that a repetition or reformulation is required. So in the type that the student needs to repeat, she or he has the chance to correct. I love this. In this technique, the teacher helps the learners to have self-correction. Let's review. What was the first? True elicitation. What about the second? What about the second? Did I like it? No, it was explicit correction. What about the third? Clarification. I like it or no? Yes, sure, like it. Because, again, the teacher helps the learners to have self-correction. Thank you. And what the next? Yeah. Oof, I don't like this word at all. I don't know why. I'm going to explain, and I'm going to tell you why I don't like that. As you see, the force is recast. How it works, what recast means in oral error correction. You know, without directly indicating that the learner's sentence or the learner's utterance was incorrect, the teacher implicitly reformulates the learner's errors and provides the correction himself. Oof, oof. I don't understand. Why? You know, I always avoid the spoon feeding. Open your mouth, I'm going to do this. Okay, I'm going to just feed you. But we should give the chance to the students to have self-correction. You know, how you feel as a student when you correct your mistakes yourself. I love that. You know, it gives me kind of self-confidence. This is me who corrects myself, not my friend, not my teacher. But in recast, a teacher, without directly indicating that student utterance was incorrect, he implicitly reformulates or gives the correct form. Therefore, the learner has no chance of self-correction. Look at this example. Poor learner says, because I wake up late this morning, and the teacher says, you woke up late this morning. That's it, finished. Sometimes even the students do not notice that there was a problem, there was a mistake with their friend's sentence. Why? Because it was indicated indirectly and was indicated by the teacher, not by the student. That's why I don't like the cats. Hope you don't like that either. Do you? Well, let's see. Have our next slide, please. The fifth. Repetition. Okay, repetition of that word. Let's repeat the four previous techniques. What was the first one? Did I like it? Did I use it in my class? Yes, of course, I like that. Do you remember what it was? 1 minute to think. Okay, it was number one, number two. Yes, you're right. Number three. Perfect. So yes, number one was elicitation. The teacher elicits the correct form from the students. That's why I love that. What about the second one? Did I like it? No, I didn't, because it was explicit correction that was done by the teacher. And the third one, yes, it was clarification request. What was clarification request? You know, by using phrases like, excuse me, I don't understand. The teacher tries to help the student telling that there was something wrong with the sentence or there was something wrong with the word that he or she said. And then he gives that chance to the student to correct or have self-correction. What about number four? I absolutely don't like that. Yes, it was recast. Do you remember the definition of recast? How it worked? It was direct or indirect? Yes, it was indirect. Yes, in recast the teacher indirectly indicating that the learner's utterance was wrong. And the teacher himself or herself implicitly reformulate and correct the student's errors. Remember the example. This poor student says, because I wake up late this morning, and the teacher indirectly just said, you woke up late this morning. And most of the students didn't care if there was a problem or a mistake or not. And number 5, as you see on the slide, is repetition. Yes, the 5th technique of oral correction is repetition. How it works? Simply, the teacher repeats the learner's error and adjusts intonation to draw the learner's attention to it. I love this expression, and I love this technique as well. You know why? Yes, the issue of self-correction. While the learner makes a mistake, at that moment, the teacher repeats his mistake or repeats what he uttered, this learner, and just paused before the mistake. Why? To draw the student's attention to the mistake. Look at this example. It made a lot of damage. This is what the student said. And the teacher says, made a lot of damage? Well, by repeating and changing the intonation or pausing before the error, the teacher tries to tell that, my dear student, did you think that there is something wrong with the sentence you said? You'd better think of that again, and you'd better to correct it yourself. And the student has the chance to have the self-correction. I love this technique as well. Yes, repetition. I also welcome this. Let's review. What was number 1? True. Number 2. Yes. I remember that I didn't like that. Number 3. True. Number 4. Yes, recast. And I didn't like it. Number 5. Yeah, you can see on the board on this slide. Repetition. Did I like it? Yes. Why? That's clear. Because the students have the chance of self-correction. And the teacher never does something like a spoon feeding. Eva, next slide, please. Thank you, Eva. You're so lovely. Number 6, metalinguistic feedback. I'm talking about oral error correction techniques. And the last one is metalinguistic feedback. I love to just have review and what we have mentioned. We talked about errors and mistakes, attitudes toward error and mistakes, the difference between error and mistakes, and then we talked about the different categories of some mistakes or errors. Also, we are getting familiar now with 6 oral error correction techniques. The first one, elicitation. You're right. The second, I didn't like it. Yes, explicit correction. The third, true. The fourth, I didn't like it. Yes. Do you remember why I didn't like it? What was that? It was recast. Why I didn't like it? Why? Because it was the technique that the students didn't have the chance. Do you remember number 3? Do you remember number 3? Yes, it was clarification request. I also like that because the students, had the chance of self-correction. And why we call it request? Because the teacher tries to just request or tries to ask for the reformulation by the students. And he used some phrases like, excuse me, I can understand. Number 5, what was number 5? I'm thinking of number 5. Yes, true. Number 5 was repetition. I like that. Do you know how it worked? the teacher repeated the student's mistakes in a sentence, and also by changing some kind of intonations. Remember the example when the student says, it made a lot of damage, and the teacher says, made a lot of damage? Well, by changing in the intonation and repeating the student's mistake, the students had a chance to think of what he uttered and think of the mistake that he made and have the chance to correct, to have self-correction. The last one, metalinguistic feedback. Well, what do you think about that word? Do you think that Akbar likes these methods? Do you think that he welcomes it? What do you think? Okay, I'm going to talk about it. As I said, the last technique of oral correction is metalinguistic feedback. Metalinguistic feedback. Metalinguistic feedback. Without providing the correct form, the teacher poses questions or provides commands or information related to the information of the learner's utterance. I didn't get what I said. Really hard. Okay, I'm going to explain a bit more. You know, the teacher doesn't provide the correct form. So, self-correction by the student in metalinguistic feedback. The teacher doesn't provide the correct form, but he poses, questions or provides commands or information related to the formation of the student's utterance, of the learner's utterance. For example, the teacher uses phrases like this. Do we say like that? That's not how you say it in English, do you? Or can it be plural? So the teacher gives feedback. What kind of feedback? Metalinguistic feedback. Yes. In this technique, the learners have the chance of self-correction. Got it? Let's review 6 months. Number 1, I locked it or no. Number 2, I locked it or no. Number 3, remember number 3? Yes, true. Number 4, number 4, I didn't like that. Remember that. Everybody knows why I didn't like that. And number 5, yes, true, repetition. And the last one, as you see in the slide, metalinguistic feedback. The teacher gives feedback. Yeah. Okay. Now we know 6 techniques. I can say that 6 types of error correction. Eva, next slide, please. Remember that I talked to you and I said that you will be surprised by the research findings. It is time to surprise you, all dear friends, colleagues, teachers. Okay, take a look at this. Let's look at the research findings regarding the most frequent types of error correction. The finding, look at the finding here, look at the diagram here. The finding shows that recast, I don't like it, is the most frequent type of error correction by the teachers. Wow, I can't believe that. I don't like that method. I don't like that type of correction, but it is the most frequent type of error correction that is being done and being used by the teachers. Can you imagine? Take a look. 55% of the teachers use this technique. Do you remember what recast was? Yeah, the first thing is that Akbar doesn't like it. In recast, the teacher implicitly reformulates the learner's error or provides the correction herself or himself. Therefore, the learner has no chance of self-correction. What a shame. Recast is the most frequent type of oral correction that the teachers use in the classes. 55% of the teachers use this. It means that majority of students do not have the chance to have self-correction. It means that most of the time the teachers feel embarrassed of being corrected in public by the teachers. How about you, dear loved teachers? How about you, lovely friends? We've had 6 types of corrections. Which one do you use the most? Which one is the most frequent correction type that you have in your own classes? I hear you say, not recast. Is it recast? Thank you. I'm glad that you said it's not recast. So, can you please go to the next slide? Thank you. Now let's look at the research findings regarding the effectiveness of different type of error correction. In previous slide, we could recognize, according to the research finding, that the recast is the most frequent oral correction that the teachers use in the classes. How many percent of the teachers? Exactly 55% of the teachers use recast. Now let's look at the most effective one. We had 6. Which one do you think is the most effective? It's clear. You can see on the slide. You know. Look. Let's see. Which one is the most effective? Yeah, I see. The finding shows that the elicitations and metalinguistic feedback are the most effective type of error correction. I'm still happy because my favorite correction types, although they're not the most frequent one, but they're the most effective ones. But something bad. You know, only 14% teachers use elicitation, and 11% of teachers use metalinguistic feedback. Why? It is shocking. To me, it is really shocking. Now we know what the most effective correction type or correction technique is, but unfortunately, only few teachers use this. And we know that the recast is the least effective, but it's the most frequent type of oral correction. What kind of teacher are you? How do you correct your students' mistakes? Do you use the most frequent or the most effective one? That's the question. Try to be honest with ourselves. Yes, love you all. Thank you that you do not care about the most frequent, but care about the most effective one. Love you. That's true. Do you remember elicitation and metalinguistic feedback? I always mention I love these two. You know, by both techniques, the teacher never provides the correct form. He or she creates a situation to help the learner correct the mistake. Therefore, self-correction happens. Let's not use the most frequent, but the most effective technique. Let's have this as a motto in our classes. I'm the teacher. Repeat after me. Yes, repeat it. I'm the teacher who's not using the most frequent, but the most effective technique of correction. Perfect. Eva, next slide, please. Well, to summarize the main point of my talk, we had a topic of error correction. Also, we talked about the attitude toward error mistakes. Do you remember I said that errors are a gift for my class? And I had 2 reasons. Do you remember those 2 reasons? Yes, because of the way that they help the teachers. Also, we talked about the difference between errors and mistakes. Do you remember the main difference between these two? Yes, true. You're right. Yes, mistake refers to the performance. It's kind of performance error, but error itself refers to the competence. What do you mean by this? I know this is a question that you're going to ask me. When you do not know the rule, when you do not know the system of the language, the mistake that you make is not a mistake, it's an error. While mistakes occur when you know the rules, but you fail to utilize them. Why? Because of stress, because of anxiety, because of over-enthusiasm, because of the failure of the utilizing the rules. See how clear the difference between error and mistake is. We have some categorizers, of common mistakes. Do you remember the main four? Remember? Yes, we had four. You're right, grammatical. Lexical. Pronunciation. True, appropriacy. Perfect. And also we had some divisions as well. Yes. Anyway, after that, finally, we had 6 error correction techniques. Also, we talked about the most frequent and the most effective ones. And also, as I told you at the beginning, the research finding shocked me and may surprise you as well. Do you remember those 6 techniques? Elicitation was number 1. Yes, Akbar Ghafouri. What about number 2? Yes, explicit correction. I like that? No. You know why? True, yes. Because there was no chance of self-correction. Because the teacher directly corrects students. Yeah. What about number 3? Wow, good memory. It was clarification requests. And do you know? Yes, clarification requests. The teacher tries to use some expression to ask the student.
Okay, hello everyone, hello teacher Akbar. Actually there is a problem with your internet as I see here, but this is not an excuse for congratulating you. Happy birthday to you. I wish you all the best in your life. And I think all your students love you as me. And I want to say that nothing is important from you. And I would love to firstly introduce. Oh, hello. How are you?
Okay,
It's great to see you here again and again, and I hope that I will see you on 19th of August, here in Baku, in Azerbaijan.
I didn't have the chance to finish my lecture because somebody just called me, so I'm here to just apologize and ask you to continue your lecture. Thank you very much.
Okay, you are welcome. Okay, now congratulations again, happy birthday. And now I want to introduce myself. I am Vusala and my surname is Gafarova. Today I'm going to present my presentation to you, and welcome to again and again everyone to our international conference. That is, this presentation is made by me, and I want to
welcome everyone. That I am from Azerbaijan, from Baku. I am an English teacher and TESOL certified. Now I got this certificate 1 month ago approximately, and I'm really proud of that. Mr. Akbar and Mrs. Eva were my teachers. I got lots of things from them. I have learned many things from them, and I really want to, and I'm applying all the things that I have learned from them. Today, I have a topic. Let's start with just only sharing information about myself. That as I mentioned, I am Vusala Gafarova, TESOL certified, and working as our teaching and learning. And this company organized that TESOL training, and I was one of attender in that training, and I really got lots of things, as I mentioned before. And right now I am working for this company, and thank you to Samad teacher that he provided us such a perfect thing. Now, as there is a topic that I want to mention about my topic. My topic is about the dynamic games and activities in ELT, English language teaching, and this procedure is very effective when you apply games and activities in your teaching. But one of the surprising thing is for everyone that when like this, you can see two photos here. On the left side, you see a game, and the right side, a teaching classroom. How could it be possible to join them, or what is the connection between them? This is the main question when it comes to all the teachers' mind, and also it's a little bit confusing things that when students come to the classroom, when they see the different things like which is away from the traditional classes, they get confused actually. But as I mentioned, the traditional classes, there were some traditional ways of teaching in the past that it didn't accept any games and activities in teaching. It wasn't obvious to all the students, all the teachers to apply all those things in their teaching. But now, when it comes to our new world, our contemporary world, it becomes truly obvious that everything has changed, and it changed gradually. It affects in teaching, it affects methodology in all types of teaching. Now the question is like that: can we use games and activities in classes? Of course, the answer is obvious that yes, of course, because if you use this language if you use these activities or games in your teaching, you will exactly be successful in your teaching. Now, the question is here that why are games and activities so successful when it comes to teaching and learning? As I mentioned before, that when you present an activity or a game in your class, you give the full opportunity to all people, all students in your class to discover themselves. By means of discovering, I want to touch some points which are essential in teaching and learning. And here are the examples of them. Access to another world. What is the meaning of this part? That everyone has his or her own world. Everyone knows it. We have our life, we have our lifestyle, but everyone wants to learn new things, get to acquaintance with other people. They want to grow their surroundings, and it really affects in teaching that when you use games and activities. Now, in our world, we have own room, we have own space, but when it comes to the classroom, all different things depend on the teachers. Actually, we are teachers, as our Akbar teacher said, that we are teachers, and I am a teacher. He mentioned to us that actually when I was his student, he exactly mentioned that I will be famous, and today it's the time to be famous for me. And I'm really happy to be the part of this conference. Now, in the classroom, the world is different. And this different world gives opportunity to feel students' freedom. And freedom is the key of the creating new identities. Identities means personality. Identities means person, people, all the citizens, everything that includes. And I want to mention that when you enter to the classroom, you see lots of students, lots of people in different hours, actually, because in our classrooms and after TESOL training, I learned lots of things, and I'm applying all the things into my classes to make my classes more and more clear to students, and games and activities are the part of that. And as I mentioned, new identities, there are a lot of students in the classroom, and these students might be from different countries, and you know or you don't know them. If it's the first lesson for you, it's a little bit difficult to understand their desire, their wanting, what they want from you. And one thing that you have to mention, you have to memorize that there is a child inside of each person who is more curious about learning new things, and this child helps to them to get new things, to want different things from the teacher, and games and activities are the key factors of it. Now, students start interacting with both environment and other people, and it gives them opportunity to understand everything clearly. And after that, getting to know one another really is the main way of socializing for shy people. When it comes to the shyness, shyness goes away in that case, and it gives the place to create a sense of fun and enjoyment, and it removes some of the stresses and pressure. Imagine a person who is working from 9 to 6, that this is the traditional working time as for everyone. Now, after that, they are really exhausted. They don't want even to move their one finger. But when they come to the classroom, when they enter the classroom, the teacher should be an energizer for them. If you are more, energetic, if you make your classroom more fun, they will get absorbed, they will get all the things that you want to teach them. And after that, the stress level goes down, and when they see the similarities, as I mentioned, that there are a lot of students, maybe they are from different parts of the world, and after that, when they see the similarities in people, they try to build up the class cohesion, and this cohesion raise energy levels of the students. Actually, it affects to their inside directly, that they want to do everything, because the main point, the energy, a little energy can make, can destroy everything, can destroy the stress, pressure, everything that gives the barrier, makes the barrier in front of them. What about the motivation that is written here? Then motivate to produce target language. Our target language, that is the main thing that we will teach to students. Actually, we are teaching to students. It can be a grammar lesson, reading, writing, all the skills that you have in your classroom, vocabulary as well. When you want to present your vocabulary lesson, you have to write down on the board that our today's topic is vocabulary, and you have to motivate your students with that. Okay, next step is, in which stages of the lesson should we use games and activities? Now, in this part of the session, in this part of the conference, I would love to talk to you about our TESOL training. 1 month ago, as I mentioned that, we were together 12 students. Actually, we are teachers. I am a teacher, but we were 12 people together from different countries, Ukrainian girls. I love you so much. And if I'm not mistaken, that 5 of them, yes, 5 of them were from Ukrainian, and our teacher, Mrs. Eva, is from Ukraine. And 2 guys were in Jamaica, and I am really happy to know them. And from other participants who were from Azerbaijan, from my native country, that we started even before this training. I have never had such an international thing that I participated in. Actually, it was a great time I had with them from the beginning till the end. And after this when I answered this question, you will see the photos, real photos that from our sessions, that you will see how it was amazing. Now let's continue to our presentation. That the question was, in which stages of the lesson should we use games and activities? If you are a teacher, you should organize everything. You should pay attention everything step by step. You have to be clear to make your students clear, to understand everything. Stages are important, as I mentioned, that in each stage you should recognize that which comes after that. Clear instruction or levels of students, age of students are so important. Now, the first part is warmer and icebreaker. Icebreaker, what is that? Sometimes our new graduated teachers don't know too many things about warmer or about the icebreaker. Icebreaker is an activity which gives opportunity to to be warmed up in the classroom if it is their first day of the learning something, first day of in ELT, let's say. It's the great way to be the part of the classroom. After warm-up activity, they try to get to know one another. They know information. Even I can give one example that what's your name? The question is what's your name, and the students students answer this question just in a simple way. You learn other students' names, maybe their name, you are going to be interested in their names, where it comes from and what is the origin of this name. And after that you try to know more and more about that person. And as it's written here that language learning is hard work, and our task as teachers is to make the effort of our learners easier to undertake. From this picture, you see that we really forgot about being a teacher. We were students. We were acting as a student, and it doesn't matter we were younger or older, and it didn't matter anything that we how to say feel. Actually the child who wanted us to do more and more things, to learn more things about language learning. Next part is drilling. What's drilling? The question is what's drilling? Let's think about that. Drilling actually is the main part of the classroom. Today you have a class and you have taught one topic, let's say one grammar topic. After that, you want to be sure, you want to be aware of that exactly your students understood everything or not. In that case, drilling helps you to understand everything clearly. Drilling is actually way of lesson. It's the main thing that the part of the lesson you ask the question about a topic, a lesson that you have already taught to your students. For example, you have a lesson about let's take present continuous, and this present continuous it can be confusing with present simple, because some even elementary students, not starter students, make mistakes, and these mistakes can demotivate them. But when you ask the clear questions, when you let them know about their mistakes, but after the class, as our teacher Akbar mentioned, that error correction, as he cleared his clear instruction made us to understand everything. And now drilling is the question, and many games provide the key features of drill, with the added opportunity to sense the working of language as living communication. You make a living communication, you connect, you have the face-to-face connection to your students, you ask the question and they understand you, they answer your question, and you feel really proud that oh, I taught it to my students. Games involve the emotions. Yes, about when it comes to emotions is the important part of teaching that you have to pay attention. Maybe there are some students, as in our previous part of explanation, that there are some students are really shy. They get embarrassed when they are surrounding others. But when you pay attention to those students, exactly in what time you approach them, what question you ask, you may hurt that person, but this is not the case that you will hurt them actually. But games really involve the emotions. It changes the mood of the person. If they are unhappy, it makes the person happy. When they are sad, they start smiling even when if the game or an activity is funny for them. And the meaning of the language is thus more vividly experienced. Actually, there are a lot of teachers that teach English language, and they have more and more experienced teachers that they want to present, they want to give clear instruction when they teach their students. And the next part is, it is for the reason probably better absorbed than learning based on mechanical drills. Mechanical drills that, as our teacher said, that spoon feeding, it's not a good way doing this, that open your mouth and I will feed you. This is not a good way to teach your students, and not the mechanical way is the part of this, but when it becomes spontaneously, okay, the mechanical drills also helps to teach students, but the main part, if everything happens spontaneously, if it reflects to our students, it's the good way of teaching, we can say, really. Now the next part is assessment. Assessment is the main thing that, as you see here that our teacher Akbar Ghafouri and you saw Svitlana there. Now this is assessment part. Okay, assessment part is the main thing. As I mentioned, games also allow the formative assessment. Formative and non-formative assessment. Formative assessment, that is the case that you give to your students with the writing paper, or after the class, informative assessment to talk to these students to be sure that they understood everything or not. Now, students are in the position to monitor their own progress and understanding of the subject in a non-invasive manner. Now, if you let your students to understand their mistakes and also see their progress step by step, it helps them to improve themselves. And games provide instant feedback for students and guidance in terms where to focus their learning effort and time. Teachers are able to see clearly where learning gaps exist and allow this to inform their next classes and revision session. Now, the important part of this process is the gap. When you teach your students, you see that some of the students didn't understand what you had taught to them, and the gaps are obvious when it comes to stage of teaching, and it allows you to inform, to be to your students, to be aware of their progress or their mistakes as well. Now, here it's the part of our session we had, and there is a bar of chocolate on the table. We assess the taste of the chocolate. Actually, here, this is it was so funny for us, and our teacher was so curious to eat that. I will never forget this session, really. And I have put here benefits of assessment for learning. Benefits of this part of learning for the assessment is the main part. You want to make your students be sure about their progress, and you restore your students' desire, actually, and you want to motivate them. Actually, there are some unmotivated students that you want to assessment motivates unmotivated students, and assessment really restores students' desire to learn, and assessment really affects to students' mood, and encourage students to keep learning. And the last part is that assessments create new way of improving. They see their improvement step by step. Next part is review and revision. Review and revision is the main part of teaching English language. Our first language is Azeri, and when we learned it when we were a child, actually it wasn't so difficult for us, because all the people who were around us, the native speakers, and we learned lots of things from them. But imagine students that they come to the classroom, they don't have any idea about learning English, and this part is really important. Okay, you start your lesson, you give instructions, you introduce your lesson, you give all the opportunities to learn them, all the things that you have as a handout. But at the end of classroom, if you don't do any revision part of teaching, you will obviously be failed in the classroom, because there is a saying that practice makes it perfect. Games an extremely amusing way to help solidify the learning, language learning. And as you see here, the line that less revision is equal to less learning, but more revision is equal to more learning. It doesn't matter how effective your class is, but at the end of the class, you have to pay attention the revision part that comes to the real part of it. Now, I want to mention one thing, that there is a question that, do we have to apply the games for adults? Why should adults be banned from the games or activities? Actually, there is no reason, there is no any cases that you have to you have to prohibit all the adults to be the part of the games. Actually, there is no any case. They have to be the part of the games. They are a person. They are, even if they are mature, they want to be part of the games. And as you see from the teacher, we are here and we are adults, but we enjoy activities. We really enjoyed what we did in the classroom. We sat on the floor. We learned lots of things from this game. We had to be quick and we have to be a great dancer. When our teacher, Miss Eva, said to us, your hands up or hands down in different ways, he wanted to take all she wanted to take all the attention. And the games are really a source of relaxation and stimulation and make the brain work less. Actually, you don't want to feel that you make your brain work more and more, because it's not a machine, a real machine, that it can work during 24 hours. Actually, it wants to relax. With the help of games or an activity, you make it work less. They include activities or games include better mutual group dynamics and encourage whole class participation. Now, encouragement is important. The shy student wants to act like another student, and this is the little way of encouragement. Then next part is they are a fun way of practice and recalling vocabulary and phrases. When you teach your vocabulary lesson, or when you teach phrases, you should take some cards. You should write. It's really clear way to make your students understand each word. When you show the words as a reality, or if you have some, for example, how to say, if you have some things in your classroom, you can show it for a starter level of students, or even adults. They don't know some words. If it's it doesn't matter, it's easy or not. Games and activities add variety and energize. It gives, as before the starting of my presentation, I mentioned that it gives you to access another world. Variety is the part of another world, and there is a method of self-assessment. That when students act in games or activities, they see how they act. They see what comes from inside. They see what can they do. And actually, these are the ways of discovering themselves. By means of discovering, I mentioned that. Now, the lovely part of my presentation is when it comes to choosing a game for a lesson, there are 3 aspects they should always be taken into account. Now we have age and level of the students. Age of the students are really important. That in the first picture you see that there are 5 students and they are from different ages. Maybe they are different from the different levels. You have to pay attention to this part. And target language. Target language, I explained it before, that it might be your grammar structure, vocabulary lesson, functional language, or writing lesson, reading as well. And in your target language should be written on the board before the class starts. It gives it's kind of thing that when you write down the target language on the board, you really make everything clear to your students that you are going to learn about this thing. This is exactly clear for them. Stage of learning stage of learning. Here are some stages: creating part, evaluating, analyzing, applying, understanding, and remembering. Creating. You are a creator. You are a creator for your students, for everyone that you want to teach. If you create your teaching or lesson, you should pay attention to these 3 factors. And after that, the student evaluate what you created. Their brain starts start analyzing what you are teaching, and they try to apply. Let's imagine this is the vocabulary lesson, and you give the cards to your students. They look at the cards, they try to evaluate that it's important to them or not. Actually, all the words, all the vocabulary bases are important to learn for them. And after evaluating, the analyzing part comes, and in the analyzing part, students try to analyze all the new words for themselves. And after analyzing, they start applying all the new words in their speech, because it's important. After practicing, more and more practicing is the perfect way to learn new language as a second language or foreign language, because it's important when you travel. There's a person in your classroom who really loves traveling, and he sees different parts of the world, and there are lots of people from different countries, and he has to speak in an international language. And applying is a part of the stage of learning, understanding and remembering. They, after applying, they understand that they can use this, and this it makes them feel free. And remembering, if the person applies it, understands it, they exactly will remember what they have learned before. Then the next part, how should we introduce a game? Actually, when you start introducing anything, even yourself, to another person, you are in a different country and you want to introduce yourself to other people, first you start with your name. Imagine a game or an activity as a name. You have to give short and clear. This is the main point. Short and clear instructions, introduction. Because when you give the long sentence, when you try to explain everything with a long sentence, it will not be sure that it will not be clear to your students. Just with an imperative way, do this, do that, open your book, or apply these instructions, or look at this photo, explain it to me. Now you should be clear and short. Explain the rules by using simple sentences and numbering them. Now this is the first sentence, second sentence, third sentence, and after that everything will be clear to your students. Write on the board the key language or important instructions if it is needed in your classroom. Ask each learner to repeat one rule. When I want to give a clear explanation to this part, because in our TESOL training, I learned about ICQs and CCQs. ICQs is information checking questions, and CCQs is concept checking question. Your topic is your concept, and your let's say game is your concept. If you want to be more aware of something, you have to ask questions, but short questions and clear questions is more useful for teaching. And to be honest, ICQs and CCQs really works in teaching after TESOL training. Now, ask for the translation of some rules to be sure that all the students have understood, and try out the games with 1 or 2 learners as the example. Last part, winners or losers. You see the 4 parts here, and the main part is reward your learners. And there are 2 links that will be very useful when I send this presentation to my teacher. She will send to all the participants in our conference, and you can exactly use these links to make you clear in your classroom that there are many activities and games in these links. Now, thanks for your attention, and there are connectors that you can find me with my email, Facebook. This is not my my private account. This is like a teaching thing, and Instagram as well, the same name as a Canford. Thank you for all the participants, all our teachers, and who is the sorry, okay, who is the part of this conference. Hello, Samad teacher.
Hello, how are you doing? Okay, thank you very much for your quite interesting talk.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. And I would like to say hello to everyone. Really nice to have you all here. Thank you very much. To be honest, today I've had a really difficult day, but seeing all these dear faces makes me really relaxed. So I really hope that you could enjoy your time on the conference with pretty constructive actually for you. So I guess that most of you were mainly pleased and satisfied with the conference. I guess that you have very valuable takeaways. So first of all, I'd like to express my special thanks to Ms. Svitlana Mazur and our lovely Yevgenia Gafarova for giving us all this time, opportunity to meet each other here, to come together, to share our knowledge and experience. And of course, I would like to say many thanks to all the speakers that presented their talks today. I mean, I know them. I know actually all of them, but Mark. But the world is small, and I guess that one day we'll meet him too. My special thanks to Paul Harvey for Julia, and it was really a pleasure to see 2 of our TESOL course graduates. These are just their first steps, and they were really quite successful in that. You know, so really, thank you very much. So, just a few words actually about me. Nothing much. My name is Samadov, and I'm an English language teacher, a teacher trainer, a manager as well. Basically, I've been in teaching for about 18 years now, working with different students and teachers in different countries from diverse backgrounds. So I also completed a variety of international certification programs, such as CELTA, TESOL, TEFL, Director of Studies, and the like.
as well as attended plenty of seminars and conferences around the world, and of course delivered a few talks in them. And by the way, the last one was in ITEFL, Ukraine, where I delivered a talk on how to teach vocabulary. As was, by the way, not to forget, I want to say my congratulations to my Janam Akbar. Happy birthday. I'm going to see you very soon here in Baku. So what to say about our company? So I'm an establisher and the chief manager of SR Teaching and Company. That's a 5-year-old multinational offering teacher development courses, as well as organizing international seminars and conferences across the globe. At the moment, we actually are based in Baku, but we are, let's say, on the way of our expansion internationally. And not long ago, in May, again in Ukraine, at the conference that was actually organized again, but together we actually did that together with SUTA. With the great help of Mr. Tiana Ukhina and again Yevgenia Tatarova, we became official representative of TESOL Asia for the whole Europe. And probably you've heard about TESOL Asia, that the designers of the program of these TESOL courses are Stephen Krashen and Rod Ellis. You know, they're quite worldwide people, so no need actually to introduce them. And we're really very happy to announce now that we are the official TESOL providers, at least in this region. So we started our first course, international course, here in Baku last month, and we're about to start a new one on the 19th of August. What is our mission? Actually, our mission is to provide quality language teaching. So again, as well as to be competitive and progressive language teaching organization, aiming to maintain a creative and organized workflow. And of course, to be always on the way of improvement, I mean, continuous improvement of our courses. We talk about our trainers. By the way, today you've got generally 3 of our trainers our trainers team, Paul Harvey, Akbar Ghafouri, Yevgenia Tatarova. We have 18 trainers on our board now, but tell you the truth, every trainer is a really professional person, and they're ready, and they actually do that. They put all their efforts to give as much information, as much knowledge, practical knowledge as they can. And it's really on a par with global standards in education and in teaching. So we also, as the company, are fully committed to be on the way this continuous improvement. One of our directions actually is, as I mentioned, delivering TESOL courses. So that's 120-hour TESOL blended course, actually, that we have 2 weeks intensive courses here. So far here in Baku. Very soon we're coming to Georgia. We're planning to come to Uzbekistan, Estonia, surely to Ukraine. And one of the advantages that we offer to our overseas trainees is that we provide them with accommodation. and certification, actually. So let alone about certification. So this is really highly internationally recognized, and even I'd say that almost all our participants of our courses, straight after completing the course, they got a job in quite prestigious places. For the next course, we're going to have, by the way, even some native speakers as trainees in our course. So that because of, people started believing to our services. So we generally cooperate with really leading organizations in the world of ELT, such as Lexical Lab. So, these two guys for sure, Andrew Walkley, they are our official representative, partners. TESOL Asia, TESOL Association, ITEFL, we're official Cambridge Preparation Center here in Baku. And we've got official contracts with many universities in different countries and international schools and language centers. We also have teacher exchange program that we're going to start probably from October. So for the trainees, actually, who are going to successfully complete our courses, we're going to give them this chance to work on a temporary basis in the countries actually we cooperate we work with, and so generally that's it. So I'm really happy to see you all here, and I believe that as once Eva said, teach and touch the future. So if you really want to touch the future, so first you've got to touch your heart, the heart which is full of love to your profession, to your students, to your job, to all your surroundings. Because I really believe that teachers are the real people of love. So never stop spreading love for teaching and learning. We wait all of you here in Baku. You are more than welcome to our TESOL family. And once you join our TESOL family, I'm sure that you'll be more than satisfied. Again, thank you very much for all
Hello,
of you.
Samad. Hello. Thank you for your speech. Hello, everyone. Finally, I can show my face because, while you were enjoying our conference, I was living a wild backstage life here. Anyway, it was a really great experience. Also, Tatiana, where are you? Just I cannot see you.
I'm here. I'm glad to see you too. And I thank a lot of. It was great. It was awesome. It was show, and to be continue. And show must go on. It's true.
Okay, thank you. So what I want to say, I'm really thankful to you for joining us because, it was such a huge job for us to do this conference, to arrange everything. Anyway, I hope that everything went smoothly, and just Mark Murphy, Svitlana Mazur, Paul Harvey, Julia Yakovliuk, Akbar Ghafouri, Vusala Gafarova, thank you all for sharing your insight and expertise. So please follow our hashtags, write your emails, just contact us. See you soon and see you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you very much. See you. Thanks.
А я зараз ще продовжу. Ярослава залиши мене на пару